Hello everybody and welcome to round 5 of the SRP Top Step V8 Championship live from Townsville, and this event will consist of 2 sprint races, 90 kilometres each. That is 32 laps of this grueling street circuit. My name is John Monroe and I'm delighted to be here for the first time this season. Alongside me is regular commentator Mike Bell. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing fine. Hoping for another couple of action-packed races here at, as you said, Townsville.
Yeah, and obviously we've had an action-packed season so far. It's been full of surprises and some great drives. We've had many wins for Eric Strana. I believe he's won 3 races so far this season. Jesper Tolberg has won a couple as well, and Adrian Holm won the last race out, I believe, at Sandown. So we've had a good mixture of drivers winning these races. It's been an exciting season so far.
Yeah, that it has. A number of races have come down to the final laps and even the final corners to be decided. And as you'd expect with the championship that's had those kind of races, the championship battle is fairly close.
So we'll take a quick look at the spotter guide then for this round today. So on your screen you should be able to see all the different liveries that these drivers will be running today. And the first surprise you might notice is Jesper Tolberg, their second in the championship, is in the Airstream car, which would usually be my seat, but he's going to be taking that for me for this race. So that's his first race for Airstream. I believe he's raced in many different teams this season, so kind of jumping about, but it seems to be working fine for him. You can see there Eric Strana leading the championship in the ice cold racing car. Adrian Holm will be racing for Sharkskins in this one, and there is basically a look at all the different drivers. Just going to take a look at the standings actually. We have Eric Strana on top at the moment with 136 points, only 6 clear of Jesper Tolberg in second on 130, despite him missing the rounds at Manfield. Then we've got Adrian Holm in third on 83 points. Then I got back to Rob Taplin, who's been really the sign of consistency this season on 66, up in fourth in the standings. Oscar Hardwick is fifth, racing for Smile Power this season. And then we've got one-on-one racing's Rasmus Salo in sixth in the standings, David Junt in seventh, Eric Tveit in eighth with Gary Lennon in ninth, and Anders Nielsen rounding out the top 10 in the championship. And also we've got Danny Asprey there in 11th, having only raced in the last few rounds, so he'll be a name that will be moving up the order quite soon. So a good mixture of teams and drivers in the standings there. Would you say Strana's favourite for the championship, Mike?
Well, it'd be hard to rule him out. I mean, Strani has missed the round last time out at Sandown, so it's not like he's attended every round and Jesper hasn't. I gap is only 6 points for a reason, but I've got to say that Jesper Tolborg has to be the favourite for this championship just with the experience in these.
Yeah, and I couldn't really disagree with you. I mean, looking at the practice times, actually, I'm not seeing Eric Strana's name in the server, which is slightly worrying, hoping he'll be able to join in for the qualifying session. But Jesper is flying up there high in second place at the moment, and we're just about to begin quali, so we should probably jump into the action. But right before I do, I'll give you a quick rundown of the team standings. We've got Ice Cold Racing on top at the moment on 222 points, ahead of THR on 121, but they are no longer competing in the championship. Walk Racing are third on 101, ahead of Smile Power on 91. Then we've got one-on-one Racing in fifth on 84 points, and Sharkskin sixth on 83. So still close in the championship for the kind of lower positions in the top 5, but Ice Cold flying out there on top.
Yeah, they are. They have 101 points ahead of THR, who are actually, in fact, at this round with both cars present in the form of Robert Wiesenmuller and David Junt. And unfortunately, we have a small issue with the broadcast car in the pit lane again. So, would you give us a couple of minutes so that the broadcast car can change car? And I believe that myself and John also have to as well. So you hold on for just a minute as we've got off to the greatest start ever.
Yeah, so we'll just have qualifying in just a minute for you. Having some slight issues on the server, but that should be sorted in no problem at all.
Alright, and I'm just loading back into the server now. So hopefully we can give you some rundown, even without pictures for the moment, of the qualifying session. Oh, apologies, qualifying has been delayed so that we can actually show you guys some pictures.
Okay, so I should be just getting back on in a minute as well. While we're waiting on this, I'll just take a quick look, talk you through the calendar very quickly. Our first round, of course, was the endurance race at Fuji Speedway in Japan, and that was the only race outside of Australasia this season. Then we followed up with Ruapuna, which was the second round, which was 2 sprint races, and Manfield, and those were the 2 races that came to us from New Zealand. That was followed by Sandown, which was the last race 2 weeks ago, won by Adrian Holm. And now we're, of course, doing these 2 sprint races at Townsville in Australia, and the rest of the season will also be ran in Australia. We only have 2 rounds to go, so we're getting to the meaty end of the championship, with Oran Park coming up next, which also consists of the 2 90-kilometre sprint races, and ending with the big one, 500 kilometres around the fearsome Mount Panorama course. It's Bathurst, everyone, and of course 2 drivers per car. We're taking this, we're doing it by the book, an endurance-style race, endurance-style format, and a one-off for the season, and probably the best possible place to end the championship.
Yeah, definitely. It's the spiritual home, some would like to say, of Australian motorsport, and especially with these V8 cars. For that Bathurst race, there may be a few extra cars on the grid, so if you and a buddy of yours want to try your hand at this, then head over to www.simracingpro.com and sign up. Details will be posted shortly.
Yeah, so we do apologise for those technical issues, but we should be getting into qualifying in a matter of minutes now, and so a little bit of a delay there. But yeah, I mean, Mount Panorama, of course, is going to be the big finale, but that's to come. I mean, we can talk about that a bit later on. It's Townsville we need to concentrate on at the moment. And we have been to Townsville so far this season, but not in any colours that you would have seen, and no points, of course, were scored because it was the pre-season test event here at Townsville. And a lot of drivers found it very challenging. We had a pit lane entry was one of the main issues. A lot of drivers were speeding in the pit lane without even knowing they were, because the pit lane is very difficult to get into and take off enough speed. So drivers are going to have to be very wary of that heading into this race, and hopefully they'll practice their pit stops. And it's going to play quite a key role in this one. We are expecting 1 stop for each of the main protagonists.
Yeah, although, I mean, some people may go for the no stop. We saw for a few people that actually worked out. On track, Yunus Ravio, who was 19th after that practice session, he is a new driver for Frammy Racing, stepping in to replace his good friend Juha Tuonainen. He's just now been overtaken by Oscar Hardwick, who was 9th in the practice session, so he'll be the first car around to start a lap. And obviously,
I think Oscar's actually just passed him on track and made a bit of a bold manoeuvre, so he will be the first to start the lap. But yeah, Ravio, first race for Frammy, as you say, and he's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, Ravio hasn't been sim racing for an awful long time. I don't remember the last time I saw him in a car, but spent some time away, and now he's back, and hopefully we'll see him return to as good as he was, or even better.
So if we stay on board with Ravio for this first hot lap, of course, I think the Ravio, the last time I seen him racing was in the V8 Championship at the TPS, so it's been a long time out for him. Of course, racing for THR in that series. Returns with Frammy now as you head down into the first tough right-hander, second gear corner. Get the power down nice and early, but gets the back end out slightly. He's already losing a bit of ground to the Smile Power racing car ahead of him, of Oscar Hardwick. Then brake just after the lines markings go black on the track. Over the curb, just put 2 wheels over the yellow line, but no more. And then you're flat out into this third gear chicane. You're left and then right, pretty much straight after each other. It's not quite flat out, of course, but a little blip of the brake in the middle and you should be fine for the exit. And one of the most difficult parts of the track, you're slowing down right down into second gear. Carry as much speed as you can with the left-hander, then scrub it straight off for the right-hander. Flick the car around over the curb and get the power down nicely on the way out. Then you have this flat-out right-hand kink that if you don't quite keep the car on edge, it really is on edge, and you can pretty much get it in the wall if you get it slightly wrong, as I think Hardwick's been impeded slightly there by Roy Magnus unintentionally. Ravio powers out of that corner, loses a bit of back-end grip, but it should be an okay lap still. They're braking down into the final hairpin, second gear, slowest corner on the track. Really careful on the power out because you don't want to spin up those rear tyres because you will of course need them for the race. Tyre wear is going to be a big issue at this circuit. And Ravio crosses the line to go provisionally on pole position on a 1:11.2. It's instantly trumped by Walk Racing's Lewis Travis on a 1:10.5, and we've already got quick times coming in. Harley Hamnet has done a 1:09.7, which is an incredible lap time for the Smile Racing driver to put himself on pole position ahead of Jesper Tolberg. That's a great lap from Harley.
Yeah, that is. Eric Strani has just made an appearance in the service, so we will be seeing him on track for this event, so that's always good to keep the championship battle exciting. But Adrian Holm, I don't believe, is in 15th place currently. He's coming around. He's set the fastest Sector 1 of anyone on that load of laps. He's now down in 17th, as I'm just trying to find him on my own screen. But he's just crossed the line. Not really that good of a lap from Adrian, it turns out.
So we've got Glavak just coming around the final corner at the moment. I think he is on a hot lap, and he was, of course, the fastest guy in practice. Oh, he's on a poor lap at the moment by the looks of things. He's going to cross the line on 1:15.2, so that's an irrelevant lap time from Glavak. He will be straight on for another flyer now. And already some quick times coming in. Harley Hamnet, that 109.7 is incredibly impressive. The quickest lap times we saw in the practice session was a 109.7, but there was only one driver at that time. So there's obviously quite a few guys with the potential to go this quick. It's just going to be interesting to see who can pull it out of the bag in this short, snappy qualifying session. Tolberg's on a 110.1, and that's an okay banker lap, but he will be looking for an extra few tenths on that. Obviously, Eric Strana's just joined the server, and he missed the practice session, so it'll be interesting to see where he can put himself on this grid, having not had too much practice, right before the event, which can always mess with your head a little bit if you haven't quite warmed up.
Yeah, definitely. Tolborg is up on Hamnet by a thousandth, but Sven de Vries has just slotted into fourth for Walters as Tolborg gets really sideways on that chicane. Sven de Vries, new driver to this series, he's partnering the returning Kevin Siggy for this event, so quite a strong lineup for Walters. They were both near the front of practice, and they're 4th and 7th currently in this session thus far.
Yeah, those guys are running really well as Glavak jumps up to second in the high-speed car on a 109.837. That was only a tenth off what he managed in practice, so it'd be interesting to see if he can go any quicker than that. He's shown it's possible, but whether he can do it or not is another matter. Harley Hamnet has put down an incredible banker lap, and it's going to take some beating, I think, in this session. Although saying that, we've got many drivers that are capable of it. We know Adrian Holm, of course, one of the quickest guys in the field for Sharkskins. We've got Eric Tveit for Ice Cold, and of course his teammate Eric Strana. So we've got a lot of guys with the potential to set those kind of lap times. So it'll just be interesting to see if anyone can actually beat him in this session.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, half a tenth at the moment between first and second, but obviously guys like Strani, guys like Holborg, guys like Tveit maybe, guys like Hardwick, guys like Asbury, they could quite happily jump up into that kind of 2/10 radius.
Yeah, there's just too many names really to split out a handful of them. But we're going to look at Eric Strana now, if I can find him. I think he's down in 35th, having not set a lap, but he's on a flyer at the moment. Let's just check out his sector times. Yeah, I'm not able to see them.
Thus far.
But yeah, he's on a half-decent lap, heading into the right-hand hairpin. He has it turned in nicely, kind of get the power down smoothly he can. He's following Sven de Vries, but de Vries gets out the way nicely, and Strana's going to head round the final hairpin now. This is one of the key corners on the track. You can lose so much time if you maybe misjudge your braking point slightly or can't get the power down very smooth, but he does do that, as you'd expect from the caliber of this driver, and he crosses the line, but he's only going to put him in 10th position provisionally, so it's not too bad, but he's going to be looking to go a lot quicker.
Only 6 thousandths behind Tommy Oyala, but Eric Tveit is on improvement. If he's just actually finished his lap, he lost some time in the final sector, so behind that for the moment. Salo is up on himself. Glavak quite close to Hamnet.
Yeah, Glavak's in a great lap. Heading through the right-hand kink now. Oh, he just glances the wall there, and that was the wall I talked about. If you can't quite keep the car in check around the flat-out right-hander, if you maybe lose the back end ever so slightly or just don't turn in quite early enough, you will tap that wall, and it's going to be interesting to see if that's cost Glavak some time. Heading into the left-hand hairpin now, gets 2 wheels over the curb, which Strana actually avoided that curb, so I don't know which is going to be quicker, but let's find out. As Glavak's going to cross the line now. I'm not sure if he'll improve, and he doesn't improve. He's only 300s off his previous best time, but it's not enough to help him, and he remains second for the moment.
Yeah, that was an improvement on his final sector, at least. So he knows he still has more time in the bag, so he's going to go back, get some new tyres, maybe drop a little bit of fuel to make that car just a little bit lighter, and try again.
So see if there's got any other drivers on a good lap right now. We have 7.5 minutes remaining of this qualifying session.
Up on himself by just over half a tenth. He's currently 7th, but that half a tenth will put him 6th. Plus, there's always scope for improvement. Glavak's teammate, so he's looking to try and assert himself as the number 1 in that team.
Yeah, and he's following JJ Wang, but don't know if he'll be able to get a good enough slipstream off him to help him on his lap as Wang gets out the way nicely.
If he continues on this lap, that could put him as high as 3rd or 4th, depending on how his last sector is.
So he's going to slow down now for the left-hand hairpin. Misses the curb, unlike Glavak, but like Eric Strana, so a couple of different lines going on here from the drivers. Asbury gets the power down nicely, he's going to cross the line, and can he go ahead of his high-speed teammate? He doesn't. He's at a 110.181, which is not a bad lap by any means, but it's a full 3/10 off his impressive teammate Janko Glavak. And
Only
also
half a
just
tenth
behind
off
Jesper
Tolberg.
Tolberg for Airstream.
Yeah, and very close to Lewis Travis as well. He's only 3 thousandths ahead, so that position is by no means secure for Danny Asbury.
And Kevin Siggy wasn't a good lap, but I think he's had some traffic, so that's going to slow him down a little slightly on that one. Sven de Vries in 8th position, but he's not on a quick lap by the looks of things. And Holm has just gone 4th as well for Sharkskins on a 1:10.181, identical time to Danny Asbury in the high-speed machine, which is remarkable. And then if you look back at that, so those guys are identical to the nearest thousandth of a second, with Holm being given the benefit of the doubt. Lewis Travis is only 4 thousandths off them, so if you want close racing, here's your place.
Indeed.
But
the gap
just don't think anyone's going to be able to beat Hamnet in this one, Mike.
Well, that's obviously good for small power, but I think that time is still beatable. I mean, still 5 minutes left. People are improving on their sectors left, right, and centre, including people like Levac improving on their sectors as Hardwick jumps up into 10th after improving by half a second.
Yep, and he's got a lot of work to do to get near to his teammate because Oscar, it has to be said, has been quicker than Harley throughout the season. Oscar was maybe slightly more experienced and obviously likes these cars. He's got a very unique driving style in terms of the brakes and the way he likes the car to turn in. So, Oscar's been very quick all season, slightly unlucky, as Travis jumps third, as he said, with a 1:10.072. But yeah, Hardwick's been impressive this season, and I wasn't expecting him to be this far behind Harley Hamnet. But saying that, Hamnet has been incredibly impressive. I mean, I don't know if anyone at the moment is going to be able to beat him, but as Mike said, it's definitely not impossible.
Eric to Veit is just improved a little bit. That was a while ago, so it's not actually showing me an improvement in a sector. And everyone else is... Oh, Tolborg is up and Travis is up by 0.076 and 0.084 respectively, and they're behind each other on track. So Travis in third, Tolborg in fourth.
Yeah, so Travis third and Tolberg fourth, as I said, and they're also in that order on track with Travis just ahead, and they're both on decent laps at the moment.
And it improves to a 0.726. I think now that is starting to get towards being unbeatable if it isn't already. I say that as Tolborg is almost a 10th up on it after Sector 2. Travis has made a mistake, but Tolborg is 3/10 up on himself according to my timing and a 10th up on Hamnet. Got to get to the run to the line good, and
let's just see what these guys can jump to then. Is Travis going to improve first of all? But well, actually, no, they've still got... wait, I don't even know if either of them improved, did they?
No, Travis was 0.028 down on himself, and Tolberg lost a lot of time in that Sector 3.
I was looking at the cars on track, thinking, oh, they must have crossed the line by now, but then realised that they hadn't even improved their times, so caught me a bit off guard there. But yes, Tolberg struggling in that last sector by the looks of things, and he's only got 3.5 minutes to put another flyer in. And Harley Hamnet setting a time even quicker than he had previously is just proving his consistency. He's on a 1:09.79. Then he did a 1:09.9, another 1:09.9, so all the times would have put him in the top 3, and then a 1:09.7.
Salo's up by 2/10 up on himself and 0.021 up on Hamnet, but he's made a meal of that chicane that will probably have cost him some time.
And of course that chicane is one of the most difficult corners on the track, and as you say, Salo has pulled back into the pit, so he's not going to finish that lap. See if there's anyone else up in their time. Unfortunately, I don't have the live timing to see where the sectors are, so Mike's going to be able to bring you the breaking news on that one. But we'll keep an eye on the orders to make sure no one improves.
Ivan Navarro is up on his time. He improves a couple of places in the other Sharkskins, teammate to Adrian Holm. But that's quite far down. Ravio is only 2/10 down on Hamnet, and he's 16th currently, so this could really improve him and Frammy Racing.
Yeah, the THR cars are making a return to the series as well, and Robert Wiesenmuller seems to be on a cracking lap at the moment, down in 13. He's going to have the slipstream from Kevin Siggy, slightly no, but Kevin's a bit too far ahead to help him. Of course, being a street circuit, the slipstream's not going to make much of a difference.
I think he's very close to Hamnet's time himself. He's a little bit down, but if he gets a good last sector, this could put Siggy definitely right in the mix for the front couple of rows.
Yeah, but the way the guys have been up on the time and then losing it, I mean, as Siggy loses the back end around the final corner, it looks like Hamnet's last sector is incredible, as we've had a change near the top. I believe that's Holm has got up to third. Wiesenmuller only goes 11th on that lap. Siggy stays 9th.
Yep, I think Siggy improved his time, but not his position.
But yeah, that was Holm jumping up to third on a 1:09.875, so he's only a 10.5 off Harley Hamnet. We have 2 minutes to go in this first qualifying session at Townsville, and the times are incredibly close, but it's yet to be seen whether Harley Hamnet, well, I say early time, he did set a 1:09.7 early on, which would have still been good enough for pole, He then went and improved it to 109.72, so he's looking the best so far. Looking maybe to take his maiden win in this series, and perhaps one of many for the future. He's definitely shown a lot of potential this season, as Robert Wiesenmuller ruins that lap, unfortunately. And Ayala is a 10th down heading into the final corner just now.
He's 3/10 up on himself. This will almost certainly be an improvement from Ayala. And he's currently sat 12, 3/10 could put him top 8, top 6 area.
And he only improves by a 10th and stays 12th, so disappointing final sector from Ayala. He actually lost 3/10 on himself just in that final sector.
Hardwick a 10.5 up on himself. He's in the 3rd sector. He's under half a 10th behind Hamnet. So if he can get a good last sector, this could put Oscar up there with his teammate.
It's all about the last sector at the moment, it seems. Like, everyone's been right up there with Harley, and Harley's just set an incredible benchmark in the last sector. Hardwick does improve, and he goes 7, but he's still got 5 cars between him and his teammate, but I'm sure he won't be too disappointed with a 110.1, and of course he does have one more lap in him if he can stay out of trouble.
Rasmus Salo is up in sector 2, he's run into the line, he improves on his time, that puts him into 8th, jumping Oscar Hardwick. But it's so close in the midfield. If he improves by another 10th, he goes up to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to say, we've got such close times going on. Looking at the standings here, we've got the guys in 4th position, Lewis Travis on a 110.0, and then even if you look back to 9th Oscar Hardwick, he's only on a 110.1, so there's only a 10th in it between 4th and 9th. And then we've got also Siggy on a 0.2, so a lot of drivers looking quick, and a lot of drivers up on their times.
Tolborg's up on Hamnet by 0.026, he's 2/10 up on himself, locks up a bit into the final corner.
I think he's lost it there in the final corner, he ran a bit wide. Let's see if he's going to get another lap in. I think he will get another lap in, and he goes 4th on a 110.051. Nice lap from Jesper.
I think the optimum of Anders Nilsson is the last car to cross the line before it hit the checkered flag, so everyone up to him will have another lap, but Asbury is up on Hamnet, and he's got a slipstream from Yunt, but Yunt's trying to improve on his time, and Yunt inadvertently holds up Asbury, so I don't think this is going to be an improvement from...
Yep, and of course the American lost the back end coming out of that corner, so he's not going to improve. He goes down 7. And Salo goes 6, as you say that, by 1,000th of a second ahead of Asbury, so the times are remarkably close here at Townsville.
Tolborg was up, but he's off in Sector 2 at the moment. He's aborting that lap. Holm, after Sector 2, 7 thousandths up on Hamnet, and 36 thousandths up on himself, so if Holm improves, he can easily get to 2nd, if not 1st, if he can have a decent last sector.
Yeah, the timer has run out, so the laps that these drivers are on right now will be their final lap. And Holm now heading through the last corner. He will be the last man to cross the line. Gets the power down nice and early. That's a lovely way of taking the final corner. Let's see if it will help his lap time. Going to cross the line, and he does improve to 2nd place. Goes 2 thousandths of a second ahead of Glavac. Talk about being close, but just doesn't quite get close enough in the last sector to Harley Hamnet.
Yeah, well that's a pleasant surprise. Harley Hamnet on pole for small power. Wasn't expecting that, and I don't think anyone really was coming into this event.
Yeah, he obviously had some pace stored away somewhere because he was hiding it in practice, and then to jump out in qualifying and do 2 lap times that would have been good enough for pole position. And I mean, he did 5 hot laps, Mike, and only one of them wasn't in the 109, so consistency and speed, he's got a real chance of getting his maiden win here.
Yeah, hope so. I mean, obviously this being a street circuit is going to be harder to overtake, so if you can get to turn 1 first and then just defend, yeah, you can't really count him out from winning this race, but he's got quite fast company up the front of the grid with him in the form of Holm and Tolborg. Also Glavac with a pleasant surprise up in 3rd.
Yeah, and Glavac was the quickest in the practice session, so I'm sure he'll be not too disappointed with 3rd. His teammate Danny Asbury in 7th on the grid. But I mean, looking at Harley Hamnet in the championship, he scored -5 points in the first race. It took him till the first round at Manfield to score any points at all, and since then he's only had 3 point scoring finishes. So it's not as if he's had a completely glamorous season, but he's clearly been improving. If you look at the trend of his championship position, he's now down in 16th. But this race and this event as a whole can help him a bunch in the championship, and if he carries his form on, then he could find himself right in the good end of the top 10.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, there's still 150 or so points on offer if you win all the races from here on. So, still physically possible that anyone could win the championship, but obviously that would require some insanely bad luck for Strani, for Tolborg, for Holm, and everyone else towards the front.
I think, Mike, you should just get out of the commentary box, get in that car, and go and do it if you think it's possible.
I'm slow.
Well, all I say is I wouldn't put money on it. But anyway, it's Hamnet going to be on pole position from Adrian Holm. Janko Glavak will start third position, and Jesper Tolberg on his debut for Airstream in fourth. I say his debut; he's probably made debut for several teams this season, but it's his first in the Airstream car, so he's doing my seat proud by the looks of things. And he will be looking to take the lead in the championship for this round. I've just been told he has driven for 4 teams this season, so obviously likes playing a bit of what's the name called again? What's the game? Musical chairs. That's the one. Yeah, he likes playing musical chairs. And fourth in qualifying, I'm sure that'll do him nicely, especially when his main rival Eric Strata is down in 10th. But the fact that Jesper's in fourth just shows how competitive that qualifying session was.
Yeah. Well, I think what shows it more is that Eric Strata down in 10th. So I think he's actually down in 9th, and Rasmus Salo is left and rejoined. But sorry, was down in 11th, and Rasmus Salo is left and rejoined. But that's the championship leader. If he finishes there, and Tolberg finishes 4th, then that's going to be a change in the championship lead come the end of race 1 here.
Yeah, I mean, and if Ice Cold guys are having a bad round, I mean, they're leading the championship by a long, long way. I mean, let's look at Strana as an example. He's behind both Walters cars, he's behind both Smile cars, which I'm sure you, Mike, will be absolutely delighted with. He's behind both high-speed cars, and he's got a Walk, Airstream. You know, there's so many teams that are ahead of him in the on the grid. He's got a lot of work to do from back there, and his teammate Eric Tveit is behind him, so he's not going to be too much help in getting him back up the front. I also like to mention it's a good thing to see the THR cars back out there on the track, try and hold on to their second place in the championship, of course with Robert Wiesenmuller, who's usually on the commentary racing in this one, and David Yunt also for THR, so it's good to see those guys back on the grid.
Yeah, one thing about David Yunt which could potentially help him, I mean, he didn't have that great a qualifying, I mean, he was down in 23rd or so, but this race, we've seen from the test event that it's possible and quite quick to do a no-stop. But the tyre wear around here, if you can control it and do a no-stop, then you can easily gain, you know, upwards of 20 seconds in race time. People who pit. And obviously,
we saw an example of that in the preseason as well with Ivan Navarro. He tried it, and it seemed to work for him. He got ahead of some of his rivals doing that. So there's definitely the potential for the strategies to play a part in this one.
Yeah, strategy and obviously, you know, being a street track. If you no-stop and someone stops, comes out behind you, and you place your car in the right position, then it's going to be much harder for them to get past you than on a, quote, regular track.
Yeah, and of course we do have the master of defensive driving when their tyres are done in the commentary box with us today, don't we, Mike? So you'll be able to talk us through what the drivers are doing in that situation if they're defending hard, because I've been on the wrong end of your defensive driving, and it's very difficult to get past.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a couple of people in this field have been on the wrong end,
receiving end, as we say,
trying to overtake me at some points. But this isn't about me. This is about the drivers on track. So, who do you think is going to win then, John?
That's a really difficult question. If I was a betting man, I'd have to put my money on this one on Adrian Holm, and that's nothing against Harley Hamnet. You know, in no way am I saying anything against him winning, because I think he's got a great chance. I just haven't seen him prove it, and I know how difficult it is for drivers to break that duck to winning their first race in the series. But if he can show anything like qualifying, then it's going to be Harley Hamnet, and that would be brilliant to see. But if I was putting my money on it, if I was taking a safety option, I would probably say Adrian Holm. But also saying that, Jesper Tolberg's got a great chance. He's only 4th on the grid. You know, he's in a good position, and we know how good his racecraft is, and how he can just sit back, wait for the opportunities to come, and take them with no problem.
Yeah, there is the downside of that, where if you sit back and wait, then you run out of laps. So you're gonna have to be a tad aggressive sometimes. I feel, but I don't know. I got a funny feeling that probably Janko Glavak is going to win this race. I don't know why, but he's been getting faster and faster each round he's done, and now he's found himself in 3rd place on the grid. He's out-qualified his teammate by 2 full rows, so that's going to be
he's another guy I couldn't really argue with. I mean, we just covered the top 4 basically, and all 4 of them have a great chance of winning. So this is what makes this series so exciting.
You could probably pick the top dozen, put their names in a hat, and pick one of them out, and you'll have an equal shot at winning. But go to the grid. There is 33 people on track for this race 1, which is quite good.
Yeah, terrific number. I think actually there's going to be 34 because Roy Magnus should be taken to the grid as well. He didn't get a qualifying lap in for Greek Virtual Racing, but he is gridding up. So if we go through the grid from the back to the front, we've got Roy Magnus beginning in 23rd position with Joshua and Joshua Anderson in 32nd for Mazurek Racing. Lazarus Kayug, you'll have to help me with that pronunciation.
Kayuglu.
New to the commentary box, obviously showing in 31st position for Mazurek Racing, with JJ Wang for Experience GP in 30th. Then moving into the top 30.
Very late call up for this race, so he's done a good job to get himself not from the back, and hopefully he can continue to move forward, and we'll see a better qualifying from him from race 2.
Yep, definitely. Then we have Ole Maris Miravold, good old Pinky, for Save the Ring in 29th position, behind Chris Williamson for Cosmo Autosports in 28th. Then we've got Rui Martins for Team Mauer Motorsport in 27th, with Tim Straub for Ferrari, an impressive 26th. I'm sure you'll be not too disappointed with that. Save the Ring, Gary Lennon, of course, teammates to Ole Maris Miravold in 25th, with the first HR car, David Yunt, in 24th. Matthew Allington for YTF1 in 23rd, with Ocker Clint in 22nd for Optimum Sim Racing. Then Bradley Vanian for YTF1. It's great to see Bradley back in sim racing because, of course, I've commentated a lot with Bradley and raced with him in the past, and he took a bit of a sabbatical, but it's great to see him back. So I wish him the best of luck in 21st, with Fran Lopez in 20th for Experience GP. Tobias Olsen for 1-on-1 is 19th, behind Anders Nilsson for Optimum in 18th. Ivan Navarro for Sharkskins will begin in 17th position, and Eunice Ravio in his return, and his first round in the Top Step Championship will be one to watch for Frami in 16th, and I'll let Mike take through the top 15.
15th place is Eric DeVite for Ice Cold, who'll be looking to move up probably very sideways like normal. And Rob Taplin in 14th. Those two walk racing cars seem to be growing apart after the first 3 rounds of being inseparable. Tommy Oyala 13th for Magenta Warriors, good to see a return from him. Robert Wiesemuller in 12th for THR. Eric Strani 11th in the Ice Cold. Kevin Siggy in 10th for Waters. Oscar Hardwick 9th for Smile. Sven de Vries 8th in the other Waters, so a good showing on his debut. Danny Asbury 7th for High Speed. Then Rasmus Salo 6th for 1-on-1. Lewis Travis 5th for Walk Racing. Jesper Tolborg 4th in John Monroe's Airstream car. 3rd is Janko Glavak. 2nd is Adrian Holm. And on pole is Harley Hamlet.
So that rounds out your 33 car grid for this, the first race of 2 here at Townsville for round 5 of the SRP Top Step V8 Championship, the first season of this. It's been a great one so far. Let's hope it can continue to grow with a fantastic race here at Townsville. Harley Hamlet's nerves will be kicking in. We've got a bit of confusion at the back of the grid by the looks of things, and there's piling the cars. It seems like there's almost too many cars for the track at the moment.
A couple of people out of position. I think Olsen got caught out on the wrong side of the road with Arca Clint, but they're all getting themselves lined up slowly but surely. But
that's one way to start a race.
Yeah, they're all taking the initiative and giving each other some space, which is good. While they're all
Harley Hamlet's nerves will be doing no good at the moment. So is that them all in position there?
No, there's a couple of people who are saying they have no pit box, which was an issue that didn't come up in testing, which is awkward. So we're just
well, it makes for an interesting start. I mean, so I'm not sure what's happening here, but we've got some issues on the server, as you can probably tell by the fact that there's cars reversing down the middle of the track, looking like lost children looking for their parents. So it's a bit of a tricky one. We're just gonna wait for Mike to fix it.
Yep, I think if they just all wait, then they should be put into their grid slots. I mean, it happened when I did a little test earlier on where I waited, and then the grid is us up for us. But yep.
Yeah, Hamlet's probably sitting in his grid slot, feeling like, oh, my life's going by in slow motion. I'm so nervous, not realizing that there's so much hecticness happening at the back of the grid. But this is definitely an interesting way of starting a race. But hopefully, I think there's going to be a restart because people's engines are overheating and stuff like that.
Oh, here we go. Now everyone's set.
And Fran Lopez's engine's gone, I've heard, so that's disappointing for him. But we are going to go green here at Townsville after a long wait.
Race control called a red flag.
Oh, so it's going to be a race restart.
Race
so the first race restart in Top Step.
Yep, that was a little error there, but hopefully it's sorted for the next round, as everyone's gridding back up again.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in for that broadcast. It's been great racing here. I don't know how long it'll be till the next race begins, but hopefully it shouldn't be too long. A couple of minute wait, and hopefully enough drivers will have their grid slots for this one. So yeah, obviously I think just to kind of explain it, obviously we're rushing through trying to tell you what's happening. So just to take a slow recap of what happened, I believe there wasn't quite enough grid slots registered on the server, which was a problem that wasn't there in the preseason event. So just a slight, obviously just a slight misunderstanding happening somewhere there with the amount of drivers and things like that. So
Yeah.
basically the drivers didn't have a red box which appears if you're not familiar with R Factor, where you have to stop, which tells you where you're starting your race from. You have to stop in that box. But if drivers don't have the box, they don't really know where to stop. So everyone's panicking and driving around. And of course, this means that everyone's engine is going to be overheating. All the drivers' brakes are going to be cooling down, and tires. And if they're sitting for that long, you might as well just restart the race in the right way. So I think even if the boxes don't appear for them this time, as long as the drivers stop in the right positions, as long as the cars stay still, it will actually put them in the right place, and we can get this race going. So apologies for all that, but Harley Hamlet's heart must be beating faster than anything at the moment.
Indeed. Roy Magnus is elected to start from the pit lane this time. So
how can you blame him?
He's going to elect to let everyone sort themselves out before he even attempts to go. But I'll tell you what, someone will be interesting to watch this race. Fran Lopez, he starts 20th. For the last 2 or 3 rounds, he's been bang on the pace. So it should be interesting to see him. He drives like he's in an action movie anyway. And when he's trying to get past 19 other cars, you can be sure that he'll create some sparks.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Fran drives in a very excitable manner, shall we say, and if he sees a gap, and maybe there's a couple of cars there, he won't try and pass one, he'll try and pass the whole field, and sometimes it works for him. So hopefully we'll see Fran making his way through the field and putting on a bit of a show for us, but it's always great to watch Fran Lopez, and it's nice to see a bit of energy being injected into these races. Let's just hope there's no incidents caused by that. But the guys are coming around the final hairpin now, and we will hopefully get started for this one.
Yep, as the leaders are just about lining up. Hamnet back on pole. Holm second, Glavak third. Tolborg has pointed his car at the gap already, so he's hoping for a good start, as is Lewis Travis in 5th. And Danny Asbury in 7th. He's pointed at the gap between Travis and Salo, whereas Travis is already pointing at the gaps in front, so Asbury's at an extreme angle looking for a good start.
Yeah, so that's the back of the grid just pulling up just now. That's Joshua Anderson pulled up. A couple of guys on the left-hand side rolling forward, trying to get into the right order. So I'm not sure if it would be quite as accurate as qualifying showed, but hopefully, as long as we get the race underway, that should be fine. So we are hoping and praying that we have the cars going into the right grid slots and we can get going here. One of the THR cars pulling out the pit lane, so I believe that's David Yunt. It's Robert Riesenmiller is going to be starting from the pit lane. So that's an interesting one. There, we are just waiting for the lights to be shown here, but it is probably the longest race start in sim racing history. I think we're just waiting for all the drivers to apply their brakes. Yeah, there's still a few shuffling.
Yes, the
so once they stop shuffling, we should get going. The anticipation rises, so we're making sure everyone knows what they're doing, and as long as they stay on the brakes, we should have the race able to start.
Yep, here we go.
So here we go. Round 5 of the Top Step Championship, race 1. Hopefully will be a race this time. And the lights are on, and away we go. It's Adrian Holm who's got a fantastic start. Jumps Harley Hamlet straight off the bat. And Tolberg's had a shocker of a start, but it's going to be Adrian Holm for Sharkskins who leads from Harley Hamlet into the first kink, and then heavy braking. Oh, there's been cars smashing the wall on the exit of that corner, but they head now into the hard braking zone. The first tight right-hander, second gear, and we've got a few cars in the wars there. I believe that was who was that? Was that Glavak that was having some issues?
I saw a piece fly off of Strani's car, or at least I think that's, yes, indeed it has come off of Strani's car, but Rasmus Salo, great start from 6th to 2nd. Strani with his missing piece is up to 9th, so he's jumped Danny Asbury, so an awful start for Asbury, as just behind them, Eunice Rabio with a good start, up 5 places I believe, battling with his countryman Tommy Oyala, who's getting a big shove from Olsen. But towards the front of it, Holm trying to break away from Salo as quickly as he can. The gap's up to near 7/10 right now.
Yeah, so obviously the nerves kicking in slightly for Harley Hamlet. I mean, it wasn't a bad start by any means, but Holm just had quicker reactions and got straight into the lead. He'll attempt to run away with this one. So Rasmus Salo second for one-on-one. Stunning start from him with our pole sitter Hamlet in 3rd place. It's Lewis Travis in 4th, and Jesper Tolberg, after a shocking start, somehow manages to hold on to 5th. And when I said it was Glavak earlier, I think it was actually Asbury in the high-speed car. I'm sure I saw one having issues on the exit, but I believe it was Asbury who's down in 10th now. And we have Oscar Hardwick 7th with Sven de Vries 8th, as we've got some battling going on. It doesn't look like Hamlet had a little look at Rasmus there, but it wasn't going to happen. and it remains pretty much the order it was. Sven de Vries in 8th, Eric Strand in 9th, and Annie Asbury 10th, as we're now entering the second half of the second lap here. This is, of course, a 32-lap race, so these guys need to calm down a little bit, make sure there's not too many incidents early on, and make sure they can make it to the pit stops, have a clean race, and pick up as many points as they can. It's a long one, of course.
Yep, indeed, as they're seeming to divide into small groups behind the top four. There's Tolborg, Glavac, Hardwick, and De Vries, and then Asbury, who was all over Strani a couple of corners ago, but Strani's put his foot down a little bit to get going. A little bit further back, Fran Lopez already up to 16th, so a good start from him. And Eric Tveit unusually has gone backwards on the start, qualified 15th, currently 17th. Siggy's tapped on.
Contact with Siggy and Olsen.
Navarre's going to capitalise, as is Lopez going to try to get 2 and 1, as you said earlier.
Yep.
I think that's Siggy moving across
big contact heading into the hairpin there, Mike.
Yep, as it's going to really
battling out the corner.
this group.
And Navarro looking down the outside of Olsen down the pit straight. It's going to have the inside for the right-hander. Siggy's managed to just break clear of them, but a bit of bad blood it looked like there. As Olsen does get the move done on Navarro.
Lopez and Tveit side by side. So Tvite's going to swing into that corner, going to try and slide it round. Lopez a bit balked on the apex by Navarro, and Tvite's going to take advantage in 16th place as they both wiggle, but Lopez is taking it back on the inside.
Yep, so that's Lopez up to 16th for experience, and I believe Jesper Tolberg set the fastest lap on the first lap.
He's right on the back of Travis now, who's fallen off of Hamnet and Salo just a touch. But
yeah, he's going to make a move. Is Jesper going to make a move here, heading into the hairpin on Lewis Travis, and he pulls back in, thinks better of it. The walk racing driver holds on to 4th position. So Travis doing a good defensive job at the moment in front of the man who will be leading the championship after this one if results finish as they are at the moment. Glavac hanging on there in 6th with Oscar Hardwick 7th and Sven de Vries 8th. So good battling going on throughout the field. There's a bit of franticness as we saw with Navarro, Olsen, and I believe that was Siggy.
Yeah.
And Olsen and Siggy had big contact going into the hairpin more than once, so it looked like a little bit of anger in that move. It didn't look, let's just say, it didn't look straightforward and clean. But they managed to get round okay, and everything's now settled. They're running in 13th and 14th, and it allowed Ravio and Ayala to break away from them. So that's really the only bit of crazy action we've seen so far. Apart from that, everyone's been nice and clean, but still close. So we're still going to have some great racing here.
As Holm extended the gap up to 1 second on that lap, it doesn't look like a second now to between Holm and Salo. Now to 8/10 of Hamlet's going with Salo, and Travis is somewhat becoming a bottle cork now because he's got Tolborg and Glavac coming up behind him, and then there's nice space for Oscar Hardwick and Sven de Vries to battle. These two
for second place, it's Salo and Hamnet having a battle. Hamnet goes down the inside, he almost loses the back end. Salo's going to try the cut back. He's going to get alongside him, but hasn't quite pulled along enough. Hamnet gets sideways on the exit, booting the power down. He's desperate to hold to get that position, and he does. So Harley Hamnet, after qualifying on pole position, dropping back to 3rd, moves back up to 2nd ahead of the one-on-one racing driver of Rasmus Salo, and I think it's good for Harley that it was Salo, because of course Salo's down 6th on the grid and doesn't have the ultimate pace of some of the other guys.
Yeah, De Vries has just passed Hardwick actually while we were looking at that battle, and he started to drop harder, which is arguably a good thing because these two historically haven't gotten on well on track together, but behind them is still Asbury all over the back of Strani, but now Ayala is looking to try and overtake both of them.
I'm sure this will be frustrating for those guys because, you know, if you look at Asbury's position, he's down in 10th place. You'd be thinking, you know, I should be higher up than this, I've got more pace, I should be able to get past the guys, but then he looks in front and it's the championship leader that's ahead of him. So even down in 10th place, he's got the fastest guy effectively in the field in front of him, so it's going to be very challenging. But, you know, just looking at that battle that we're having going for 4th position, Lewis Travis was defending well from Jesper, and it's going to be a great test for the young driver. He's quite new to sim racing, and it was going to be a great test to see how good his defensive driving is, but just as I'm saying that, he's right on the back of Rasmus Salo at the moment. So Salo's dropped slightly back, and Travis, instead of defending for 4th, is going to be fighting for 3rd very shortly.
Yeah, I think that with Hamnet leading this group now, they're starting to close in home by just a 10th per sector. Even then, 7 sectors, it's only a couple of laps as they're already seeing the first signs of lap traffic. That's Lazarus Keglu and the Mazurek sliding off into the wall just in front of them. So hopefully he'll let everybody pass up until there's a reasonable gap to rejoin, which I would believe is nope, that gap's not that big unless he's already got going. But between Rabio and Siggy kind of on his own now after a flurry of action early on. The Vite only in the 1 point position. That's not going to really be helping Ice Cold too much.
I think thankfully for Ice Cold, they've got such a big gap in the Constructors' Championship that they can afford to drop a few points, but that won't help their morale, that's for sure. And especially Eric Tveit, who we know how good a sim racer he is, obviously hasn't put in too much practice for this one, and is struggling there down towards the back. But this train of cars from 1st to 6th position, it's great to see, because you look at the names involved. You've got Adrian Holm, Harley Hamnet, Rasmus Salo, Lewis Travis, Jesper Tolberg, and Janko Glavak. None of those guys are by any means slow in any way. You know, all of them are absolutely terrific drivers, all very fast, all with a point to prove. Jesper's going for the championship. Glavak's wanting to prove that he was the fastest guy in this event, despite being down in 6th place. You know, you've got Travis trying to prove that he can, you know, defend for his life, but just basically trying to show how good a sim racer he is, being a new boy to this field, trying to show everyone, you know, he's one of the main protagonists. Rasmus Salo, after making a great start, will be desperate to hold on to that. And then you've got the guys at the front with Hamnet, you know, really looking to prove that his pace in qualifying actually meant something and he can win his first race. Holm will just be looking for continuation. You know, if he can win this race, that'll be 2 in a row for him, and he'll have the momentum moving forward, and he'll be, you know, he'll be right up there for more victories throughout the season.
Yes, certainly, and especially if, say, Jesper falls back a couple of places, and if Granny falls back a couple of places as well, which Granny does look likely of doing because Asbury and Oyala are still all over him, but Hamlet are now attacking Holm, as I say that, but if Holm wins this race, and Tolborg and Strani could have a bad result, then that could interject Holm into the actual championship battle. So, a couple of good results from him, and we could be seeing a 3-way battle for the championship heading into the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, and how good would that be for the series? I mean, and those 3 guys, any of them can win the championship. They've all 3 shown they can win races, and that those are the only guys who have won a race so far this season. So they're obviously, you know, we know how they're all high caliber drivers, and we know how good they all are. So it's going to be key. Oh, Hamlet's going to run really wide there, and Salo could have got up the inside, but he put the power down too much in anticipation, and Hamnet in the bright purple and yellow Smile Power Holden manages to hold on to the 2nd place. And yeah, Salo will be kicking himself for not taking advantage of that. Hamnet just missed his braking point slightly, or maybe locked up heading into the right-hander. Couldn't get the car turned in quite right. Managed to get the power down once he'd already made the mistake, but he must have thought his 2nd place was a goner. But Salo just put the power down too hard, got the back end a bit squirrely, and couldn't make the move stick.
He's gone at the inside of Strani. Strani runs just around the outside of him, but Asbury had about half his car alongside then, so Strani couldn't go anywhere near the apex, so he could have a pretty bad run down here.
Oh, and Asbury's going to look to the inside, heading into the right-hand hairpin. Applies the brakes, he's braking quite early, but he has got his car down the inside of Strana. There's going to be contact, but Strana, beautiful defensive manoeuvre, and that's why he is leading the championship, showing how good he is there at holding on to the position around the outside of a hairpin. Not many drivers could be able to do that, and they now head down the home stretch, and Strana does hold on to his 9th position, and this race will be key for his championship situation. Of course, leading it by only a few points from Jesper Tolberg, who is ahead of him. He needs to try and minimise that gap as much as possible. It's all about damage limitation for the Scandinavian in the ice-cold car.
Oh, don't know what Adrian Holm has made a mistake or something, but Hamlet is right on the rear wing. That's 0.2 of a second. That's a demonstration of how big 0.2 of a second is in these things, but Salo is right behind him as well, as is Travis, as is Tolberg, as is Glavak, all within 1.9 seconds.
Yeah, and Hamnet and Travis have the fastest laps at the moment. Hamnet in 2nd, his fastest lap was a 110.319, which I believe is the fastest lap of the race, followed by Lewis Travis on a 110.381, who is in 4th position. So the quickest guys do seem to be in this lead pack. And at the moment, it looks like Hamnet and Holm are just trying to break a tiny bit away from Salo. It's now 9/10 between the leader and 3rd place is Travis. Loses under braking, gets locked up, he hits the wall. And it's we've seen many times in sim racing. If you just lock up those brakes too much, it flicks the car the wrong way, head into the wall. And Travis now goes from 4th to 6th. Did well to save that one. Keep it out of the stop himself getting too much damage and keep facing the right direction. So a bit of a dangerous moment there for Travis, but he'll be frustrated with that. He'll just need to calm down a bit, regain his composure, and begin to pick up those places again.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he can attack these guys in front, because they're all, as you said, they're all top caliber drivers, so they're going to be, they're as quick as him as well. And, you know, if one of them goes out for an attack and the other one goes for defend, that's going to slow them up and allow anyone ahead to break away. So maybe Travis would be better off just sitting on the tail of Glavak and just trying to either undercut everybody or, you know, do a better in-lap and a better pit stop.
He could try Fran Lopez, but no, I think the way it's going right now, if more people, you know, have incidents like that, if more drivers make a slight mistake, That's the way this order is going to change. You see it's almost like endurance racing where you have an order, and even if you're sitting in fourth, you set the distance back from the guys, and eventually they start making mistakes. As Hamlet goes for the inside of Holm, and he is actually going to make the move. He gets a bit sideways
Holmes
under
gonna get the
braking.
drive, I
Holm's going
think.
to attempt what Strana did, but doesn't execute it quite as nicely because Hamlet gets his car far enough down the inside. There's contact heading into the left-hand hairpin. It's Holm who's now got the inside. These guys have been running side by side now for both corners. Holm gets the power down, gets sideways, but Hamlet doesn't quite manage the undercut, and he doesn't manage to get the lead off Adrian Holm, who maintains it for Sharkskins, but not showing the pace I was quite expecting, saying that Harley Hamlet clearly is the quickest guy in the best position at the moment, and he has the bit between his teeth at the moment, heading into the right-hander at the start of the lap, but it's still Adrian Holm who leads from Harley Hamlet.
Yeah, look, just off the tail of this group, Sven de Vries in 7th. He is very sideways, but he's very slowly catching up to this group. He's only a second and a half behind Travis. But at the rate these guys are going, give it 2 or 3 more laps and he'll be right with them. And then that's the pit stop window in another 6 laps or so is when we expect people to pit at half and half. So 4 or 5 laps time, there should be people who are trying to undercut.
Yeah, and I've just noticed Asbury has actually passed Eric Strana for 10th position.
Oh,
so the
and
high-speed
Oyala's
driver passed the ice cold.
Oyala's passed them both. He's up to 9th now from 11th. So that's going to really hurt Strani in the championship. I think 11th
missed
place
something
is
then.
5 points or so. But speaking of points, B.S. Olsen, Eric Tveit and Fran Lopez, this battle has been going on for maybe 8 laps or so between these 3 with a big gap back to Navarro. But as we were saying before, Lopez, very action-filled driver, reminds me of Eric Tveit maybe a year or so ago. And for these two to be battling is, really a exemplary battle of that style of driving. But
and Hamlet's taking the lead from Adrian Holm. He's dived down the inside just as we were watching Fran Lopez and Tveit battling for 15th. Hamlet has taken the initiative and dived down the inside of Holm. He has the inside line for the right-hander, but Holm cuts him off nicely. And that's harsh but fair racing from the two of them. And Adrian Holm showing his defensive skills. Hamlet's going to try going around the outside. Holm gets sideways. Surely he's going to lose the lead, but he just somehow keeps it on the track.
Salo's going to get him. Salo's going to get Hamlet here.
No, he is. If he keeps around the outside, it's a move I know is possible to make him move around the outside. And he has done it, but he's done it messily there from Salo, and it's cost Hamlet big time.
Talborg up to 2nd now. It's like musical chairs between these 6.
Oh, there was Glavak as well, and there's a contact again between Salo and Hamlet.
Of Salo.
But it was slightly disappointing from Salo because I thought he was going to execute a brilliantly clean manoeuvre on the outside, and he did just hit Hamlet a bit too hard. I'm not sure if Hamlet actually turned right, so I'm not going to put any blame to that. I need to watch some replays, but it was big contact and it cost them both.
That's for 5th, and here comes the Freeze. The Freeze is going to be
Where's he come from?
Hardwick now is in the frame, as we've lost Van Navarro to add to the list of retirement, so that's unfortunate for him, but this battle could give Holm the breath of air that he needed. Just to, take a lap, get back to hitting his markers, and just hopefully try and pull a gap from Talborg, as everybody else is scrapping like mad in behind.
Yeah, Holm of course did have Hamlet behind him. Oh, that's fine, of course. Hamlet's gone. He's only got Jesper Talberg to worry about now, of course, who's no big name in this championship.
As we've had
an incident further down. Well, Sven de Vries is in 6th position. This 6-car battle has become an 8-car battle, has to be said. Because Hardwick and Glavak are right in there now.
Yeah, the threesome behind, they don't look to be getting any closer, but Oyala seems to be comfortable ahead of Asbury, and Strandy's trying everything to get back into the top 10, but... Battle for lead, Holm had an 8/10 gap at the start of this lap. At the sector split, it was 7/10. It's not 7/10 anymore. But Talborg pits.
Talborg's pitting. On lap 12 out of 32, he's obviously going for the clean air, and this could work an absolute treat for the, I say Airstream driver, he pretty much every single team in the field driver, but he's going to pull into the pits and get some new tyres on that Airstream machine, looking for the undercut in the pit stop.
Back 7th and 6th, but Tobias also pitted the lap before. Hardwick still trying to go around the outside of the back, don't think he's going to make it happen in turn 1. But this undercut, obviously he'll be away from the battles, he'll be able to push at his own pace if he comes out with some clean track, but obviously with pitting early he could come out behind people, as in fact he's come out right behind Anders Nilsson, so a couple of laps and he'll be right on Nilsson. Out in 16th, ahead of Rob Taplin, who is currently 17th, hasn't pitted yet. Rob Taplin 4th in the championship, so his points tally are going to take a knock. And just behind that, Allington, Ockerklint, Lennon and Yunt are all having a 4-way battle for 18th position. Yunt No, it wasn't Yunt, it was Wiesel that started from the pit lane. He's just gone up to 22nd ahead of Bradley Vanian, just in behind.
Yep, and Hardwick did get the job done just as we cut away on Janko Glavak for 6th position, so that's
On
now
pits.
Power Driver up to
Salo
6th.
also pits, Travis in as well. Priest stays out, Hardwick stays out, Glavak stays out, etc, etc. Strani sideways into the pits. So a number of people pitting this lap.
This is where Harley Hamnet really needs to show his true colours. He needs to find the pace, and he's got clear air now, which he hasn't had so far in this race. Sven de Vries also staying out. So this is really the chance for Hamnet to show what he can do, but of course he's going to have worn tyres, and that will cost him as he gets incredibly sideways out the right-hander, and you can see why these drivers are pitting, judging by the way Hamnet got so sideways. But if he can just keep it out for a lap or two, he's going to have much better tyres for the second stint, because obviously they aren't lasting much longer for these guys than 14 laps, so it's going to be difficult for the guys doing a no-stopper.
Just out in front of Anders Nilsson, but Jesper Tolborg is right on Adrian Holm as he's passing Nilsson in this corner. So.
And Tolberg is down the inside of Nielsen, of course. Nielsen, I don't think has been in the pits yet, so that's Holm in 10th, Tolberg 11th, of course. That's with all the drivers in front of them having not pitted. So this is effectively the battle for the lead.
Some on Salo and Travis, who seem to be a lot further back than they were previously, so maybe a good in-lap or so from Holm and Tolborg, but this is effectively the battle for the lead going on in 10th right now. As
I mean, that's what happens
Hardwick,
when you practice your pit lane entry.
Free stays out, he now leads the race. Hamnet pits, Hardwick pits as well, as does Glavak. Now both smile cars pit at the same time. This may cause trouble, and indeed it has. Hardwick again having pit lane woes. Gonna have to queue behind Hamnet. Hamnet finishes his stop.
Desperate. And of course these guys aren't even halfway yet, so they're going to have to go a lot longer on the tyres as Holm and Tolberg fly past Harley Hamnet, so it hasn't worked for him. He's going to drop far back, but he's going to have fresher tyres for the second stint. He's under pressure now from Taplin, but he has stayed ahead of Salo, so it's going to be provisionally third for him as Taplin goes down the inside of Hamnet. And it doesn't quite make it. Siggy's run wide. Hamnet's in the wall! Oh, that's going to hurt him. That surely is giving his car a bit of damage, because that was a big hit.
Definitely Hardwick out, in fact, behind Eric Strani, but he stayed ahead of Janko Glavak. He's also had some trouble in his pit stop, so Glavak way down now in 17th.
Yep, and Danny Asbury, his teammate, you can tell it wasn't stacking between those two, because Asbury obviously hasn't been in the pits. In third position at the moment, still behind Tommy Oyala, but Strana has been in the pits. As De Vries stays out.
Second and third pit, Oyala and Asbury. Bravio staying out, and then there's Fran Lopez ahead of Holm and Tolborg right now. Fran's going to come into the pits this lap. And now it's just going to be, I believe, unless someone gets going quickly. That's JJ Wang a lap down getting going already. I think now that this race has come down to Adrian Holm versus Jesper Tolborg, but everybody else's pit lane blunders or woes have cost them too much. Unless, of course, Holm and Tolborg's tyres drop off earlier than the people behind them, such as Salo.
Experience, practice, call it as you will, but Holm and Tolberg, two of the more experienced drivers, two of the, you have to say, high-caliber drivers in the field that are fighting for the championship, and it just showed there in the pit stops. These guys, didn't have anything over the rest of the field, but, they made something out of nothing there by breaking away during the pit stops. Obviously, worked hard on nailing the pit lane entry, making sure everything went well, nailing their outlap as well, and it's obviously paid massive dividends for them. But we are now halfway through this 32-lap race, so anyone who pits now has basically perfected the pit stop strategy in terms of the same length of time on each set of tyres. But all of the guys at the front seem to pit 3 or 4 laps early, which means they'll do 3 or 4 laps more on their next stint.
A little way back in the pack, currently 9th, Eric Strani, he has jumped Danny Asbury and Tommy Oyala by a massive amount, as Oyala gets a little bit pushed out of the way by Glavak, but I have no idea what went wrong with Glavak. He's come out even behind Asbury as they're battling with Ockerclinth, who has yet to pit and doesn't pit this lap. Maybe he's going for a no-stopper.
There's a chance that Glavak might have had a drive-through, because we saw that problem in pre-season.
No, because he went on the same time as Bravio pits as David Yunt.
So it is Holm from Tolberg first and second, with Salo third, Harley Hamnet fourth, Lewis Travis in fifth, right on his tail ahead of teammate Rob Taplin. Sven de Vries is seventh, and Eric Strana eighth, with Danny Asbury and Oscar Hardwick rounding out the top 10 at the halfway stage of this Townsville race.
Oh, then Ockerclinth, Glavak and Oyala having a decent battle. Glavakos ran the outside of Auckland in turn 2. That was turn 2 or turn 3. That was very impressive, as Auckland now needs to switch his attention to defending against Oyala.
Yep,
But,
so this battle going
Rob
down for
Taplin,
12th position.
Rob Taplin in 6th. If he's one-stopping, he's in a pretty good position. He needs to hold off De Vries, Strani, but then he has about 5-6 seconds between himself and Danny Asprey in 9th. So, unless his tyres fall off a great deal, it could be a good choice from Rob Taplin.
Yep, time will tell. He, of course, following his Walk Racing teammate in 5th. They are the team that have got the highest 2 cars at the moment in terms of their second car is up in 6th position. So those guys having a great run at the moment. I'm sure Mr. C will be delighted with how this one's going. Sven de Vries also having a good run in 7th. And was that Hardwick setting the fastest lap of the race? Oh, Harley, sorry. Harley Hamnet is set the fastest lap of the race on a 1:10.082. So he's just showing that pace, but he didn't quite manage to nail the pit stop strategy, and it's cost him 5 seconds to the guys out front. So he's got a lot of work to do there from 4th position, but he's got the pace. Let's just see if he can reel those guys in, but I don't think so with this many laps to go. Saying that, Hamnet, of course, does have 2 or 3 lap fresher tyres than the guys in front of him, so this could pay big dividends towards the end of the race.
We've got a couple of cars a lap down in front of him. Rory Martins gets out the way. Chris Williamson, the next car in front of him for Cosmo, is also lap down, and then that's Rasmus Salo, so you can see what he's chasing for his first podium.
Oh, big battle for 6th position, with Rob Taplin, Sven de Vries having a little look there down the inside, and we have Eric Strana in 8th. So this battle going on for the just outside the top 5. And as you were talking about Taplin, he does seem to be struggling a bit on his tyres at the moment, struggling for pace. So Sven de Vries, all over the back of him in 7th place. He had a great start to the race. Lost a bit of time in the pit stops, as did a lot of these guys near the front, but he's going to be making up ground now. Looks down the inside of Taplin, pulls back in. He's not going to take a half-hearted manoeuvre, which is a good decision from him. Let Taplin make the mistake, which he does, runs a bit wide. Can de Vries capitalise? He's got a slight overlap, just the front quarter panel in front of the back of Taplin's car, but it's not enough to make the move. And Taplin holds on to 6th position, but he definitely has his work cut out to hold on to this one, especially when you've got championship leader Eric Strana right in there as well in 8th position, clearly with a lot of pace. And he'll be, dying to get past these guys. He's struggled so far this race, and this is his chance to make up the positions.
No, if he doesn't make up at least these 2 positions, and then maybe a handful more, that he'll lose his championship lead to Jesper Tolborg at the checkered flag, because Tolborg's 2nd, Strani down in 8th. That's not sure the exact points difference, but I can guarantee it's more than 6, and that's what
as
it
de
needs to
Vries
be.
passes Taplin. So de Vries takes position. Strana is also going to capitalise on that one. There's a bit of contact between the 2 of them. Nothing too malicious, and Strana does take the position. Taplin's going to keep his car down the inside. Can he hold on to it? No, he can't. Strana has the grip and the traction on the exit to move up to 7th position. So that's a great move from the ice cold driver. We have had 5 retirements from this race so far by the looks of things. We've got Marius Mervold and his teammate Guy Lennon both out for Save the Ring. Roy Magnus is also out of this race, along with Joshua Anderson, who's struggling at the start, and Ivan Navarro, who might have been one of the guys who was doing the no-stop strategy, but we'll never, unfortunately, find out because he is also out of this race.
We may find out in race 2, but of all 27 runners that are left, I think most of them are having a battle with someone or another. I mean, there's Chris Williamson and Rui Martins who are being lapped by the De Vries Strani battle at the moment. They're fighting for 25th. Ahead of them, 24th, 23rd is Allington and Straub going side by side, and they're not too far behind Wiesenmuller, who started from the pit lane. And then just ahead of him is Siggy and Yun. So everyone having a nice little battle. Is obviously
Williamson held up Strana a lot there.
Yeah, they're battling for their own positions. They're not thinking, okay, how can I let the leaders by? They're thinking, how can I let them by without losing much time?
So that was good driving there by Rui Martins to let past
Taplin's been
Glavak.
tapped by Asbury.
Oh, and he's in a spin.
Rejoining, he's going to stay 11th. Unless
Oyala
in under brakes.
He's going to look down the inside. Taplin tries to get the power down, slides the back end out, and Oyala takes the position and moves up to 11th place. So obviously, Taplin having contact out. Was it with Asbury, Mike?
It was with Asbury, yeah. There's just differing lines going into the corner. Taplin went in, I believe, lifted off, get the exit onto the little kink for the hairpin. Asbury kept his foot flat, went into the back of Taplin. Taplin went off, but now Taplin has the work to do, as Asbury's actually got a little bit of a gap to Hardwick and Glavak, who are still battling from the battle before the pit stops.
Yeah, so some quick laps coming in from the guys at the front. Home Holm's last 3 laps have been a 10.6, 10.6, and 10.5, whereas Tolberg's have been 10.6, 10.5, and 10.6. So the front two guys, nothing really splitting them at the moment. Jesper in that Airstream car, he just doesn't have enough. He doesn't have to keep up with Adrian Holm, especially when he's got a slight bit of a slipstream. But whether he's got enough to make a move on him when they're this closely matched, I don't know. We know how good a driver Holm is at defending, and Jesper, he's not the kind of guy that puts the car on the line to make that move. He's a bit of a championship player, in that he'll wait there and he'll get a mistake out of Adrian, or he'll at least try to anyway. But he's not the kind of guy who's going to send an absolutely random dive bomb from nowhere. So in some ways that's good, but Tolberg's going to struggle to get past Adrian here unless something strange happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing. It's going to be down to Holm to make a mistake, I think. But speaking of the Sharkskins team, just been informed by Ivan Navarro, he was in fact on a one-stop strategy for this race, but unfortunately he was the victim of a disconnect quite early on in the race. So unfortunate for him, but hopefully we'll see him back out in race 2. And while you were giving us a little rundown, there was a change from 14th and 15th. Yunus Rabio got past fellow Scandinavian Jon Ockklint. Both of these guys quite comfortably in the points because Fran Lopez has fallen back a little bit. But yeah, as Wiesenmuller now caught the back of Siggy and Yunt, so that's the battle for 20th with the 2 THRs, a lot lower than they are accustomed to being. Not really used to seeing any THRs outside of the top 20, let alone 2 of them. So
Hardwick's made a mistake somewhere, and he's got Glavak all over the back of him in this battle for 9th position. Hardwick in the Smile Power car, followed by Janko Glavak, trying to make amends for problems earlier on in the race. He's down in 10th place at the moment. He was one of the guys that was fighting in that top 6 battle at the start of the race, but Glavak just trying to have a look at Hardwick at the moment, trying to catch up to his teammate Asbury, who you can see just edging away there in 8th position, and he'll be dying to get past
behind them,
the Englishman.
Into 12th, passes Rob Taplin in turn 1, so Taplin it's too late for him to pit now. He's sure to be on a no-stopper, but De Veit gets past him. Now Taplin has to... I don't think he can get back on the attack unless De Veit wears his tyres out so much by going sideways. And now Taplin needs to focus on not getting caught by Rabio and Ockklint behind. Yeah,
I mean, it's clearly not worked for Taplin. I think it was good of him to try it and try something different, see if he can shuffle up a bit and make.
Well, considering he qualified way back in 18th, 17th, 18th, 19th kind of area, I think that we could say it has worked. He's gone up to 13th at the moment.
Okay, sorry, I was forgetting where he qualified. Okay, well in that case, then it's not going to be too bad for Taplin, but of course he does still have 8 laps to suffer those incredibly worn tyres. He's got a big gap, he's got 3 seconds back to Ravio, so it's unlikely he'll hold off that position. He's got further 3 seconds to Ockklint, so that's going to be a close one. A couple of seconds back, and there's Fran Lopez and Anders Nielsen, so I think he'll probably end up around the 16th, 17th position range. So it's going to be interesting to follow that one, see if Taplin's strategy does end up paying off, or it's going to cost him in the end of the race. And let's see if he does the same thing again for race 2. But as you said, there's no backing out now. He has to do the no-stopper. He can't. He's run out of options in terms of pitting now, and he's up behind the back marker of Williamson. But
Williamson in fact just made a mistake while battling with Rui Martins. They're having a good battle at the back. So it's good to see that no matter how fast or slow you may be, there's always someone that you can find a battle with in this league. That's obviously a good point.
Tolberg right at the back of Adrian Holm for the lead. Adrian's obviously made a slight mistake in this one because it was 6/10 between the two heading onto the lap, and we're just going to see the lap times now. Adrian Holm's done an 11.0, and Jesper Tolberg has done 10.7, so that's closed them right up now to less than half a second between Holm and Tolberg, and it really is the closest battle at the moment going on inside the top 8. Well, we've got Asbury, obviously the Asbury, Hardwick and Glavak battle is pretty intense, but right at the front, it's Holm versus Tolberg at the moment, and Tolberg's looking racy. Holm, maybe a slight mistake in that last lap, maybe his tyres are going off, but I believe these two pitted on the same lap, so it shouldn't be too much of a difference between them. It's just whether Holm can hold off for 7 laps.
Than Tolberg did, but I think what Tolberg's doing is he's going to drive around behind Holm and just put more and more pressure on, and when it comes down to the point where he needs to make a move or settle for second, that's when he'll make a move. But until that point, he's just going to pressure Holm into trying to make Holm make a mistake.
So we have 7 laps to go here at Townsville, race 1 of round 5 of the SRP Top Step V8 Championship. It's Holm from Tolberg, Salo in third. We're just going to cut away to P9 because the battle is raging between Asbury, Hardwick and Glavak, and it's Glavak on the back of Hardwick at the moment that's the main battle going on there. He's going to have a run at him into the hairpin. This seems to be the main overtaking spot. Glavak looks down the inside, backs out of it, then goes back to the inside, looking for any chance he can get. But Hardwick holds off well and holds on to that 9th position, and he'll be desperate to hold on to that position because, you know, anything worse than that, he's going to be outside the top 10, and I'm sure Oscar will be pretty disappointed with that result.
Yeah, just in front of these guys, as Asbury's kind of got a little bit of a gap ahead of Hardwick and Glavak now, these three are all catching Eric Strani. So whether that damage that Strani has on his left-hand side that he sustained on the first lap, it doesn't look like that much, but maybe that's affecting his car, and if he gets caught by Asbury, Hardwick and Glavak, and he loses all those places, that, I believe, is an extra 5 points he's going to lose. An extra 3, 4 or 5 points. And that will not help him in the overall championship battle, considering Tolborg is just driving around trying to pressure home into making a mistake.
Yeah, it'll do him no favours whatsoever down there if he finishes any worse than his position at the moment in 7th. But the thing is, he's got 3 guys behind him, all 3 of them, the potential to be right up there in this race. Because you've got Asbury, and we know how quick he is for high speed. You've got Oscar Hardwick in 9th position. Of course, teammates are Harley Hamnet, and he has been quicker than him so far this season. We know how quick these guys are. And Janko Glavak, who's quickest in practice, one of the quickest in qualifying. So, you know, it's not as if Strani's got any slow coaches behind him. They've got all 3 very quick drivers catching up to him at a rapid pace, and he's going to have to be very careful he doesn't lose those 3 positions, as you say, Mike.
Yeah, a little bit further back, Rob Taplin seems to be running into more and more issues with his tyres. He's just lapped the battle between Martins and Williamson, who are seeming to be everywhere at the moment. But he's lost a place to Yunus Rabia, who set off after Eric Tavai. But behind them, Fran Lopez has ended up in 15th. And Anders Nilsson up to 16th because Ockerklint at some point has made a mistake and dropped down to 17th place. Is just in the background, JJ Wang in the second experience spins, and he's got to be careful not to rejoin in front of Siggy as Siggy just avoids him. That's down to 18th, 19th, Siggy, Wiesenmuller as
yeah, Wiesenmuller did well to get out of that one, as did Kevin Siggy, because that was a bit of a close call there from JJ Wang. But yeah, I mean, the battles are kind of quite quiet near the front of the grid. I mean, we've got Harley Hamnet and Lewis Travis pretty close on track for 4th and 5th. Hamnet may be suffering a little bit of pace from the damage he sustained, if any, from that contact with the wall earlier on. And also you've got Holman Tolberg, obviously, not separated by more than a second, definitely less than a second. But apart from that, there's not too much happening. You have to go down to the 8th, 9th and 10th battle, which is raging on at the moment between Hardwick and Glavak, and that 9th position battle there is probably the main one at the moment, because Glavak has been pushing Oscar for a number of laps now, trying to make him crack, but the Englishman's holding on very nicely at the moment.
Yes, indeed, as Glavak goes to the inside.
Oh, he's lost it. And he's facing the wrong way. He's lost a bit of bodywork as well, so yeah, that did not work at all for Glavak. He's obviously trying to put Oscar under pressure, and it's him that's ended up cracking, as has the front body shell of that. What I was about to say, I think it gets a hold on it, but I couldn't even tell because, of course, there's no front on it anymore. But Glavak down in 10th.
Look at the wing to tell him apart.
Yeah, he's lucky he's not lost any more positions, because, you know, if that had happened while he was at the front of one of those big trains we saw earlier, you know, that could be 6 or 7 positions that Glavak could have lost. So he's lucky he's got a big gap back to Oyala behind him in the the Magenta Warriors car. But he's going to be a lot slower now with that damage. He's definitely lost all hope of catching up with the guys in front of him.
Holm extends the gap now. It's 0.8 of a second to Tolborg. Travis is right on the back of Hamnet. De Vries is leaving Strani, but Danny Asbury, I've checked over the last couple of laps, he's been 0.2, 0.3 per lap faster than Strani every lap. And there's not that many more laps to go in this race, but Asbury only has to reel in 0.9 of a second. And in 3 laps, if he can gain 0.3 of a second per lap as he keeps going, he'll be able to attack Strani.
Yep, and towards the back, things are going bad to worse for Taplin. He's 4 seconds a lap slower than everyone around him, of course, due to his tyres. And he's just been passed by Lopez, Anders Nielsen. He's got Ockerklint right in the back of him, then you've got Siggy and Wiesenmuller, who also, I would suspect, being able to make a move with 3 laps to go if he's losing 4 seconds a lap. But yeah, not going well for him. But as you say, at the front, there's still definitely a lot of things on, and Harley Hamnet and Lewis Travis very close together for 4th and 5th position. Obviously, as you say, Strana struggling there in 7th, losing time to Asbury behind him. But I think Hamnet and Travis, this is a battle for 4th place. It's 2 guys that are relatively new to this sim racing and also new to the, well, obviously everyone's new to the Top Step V8 League, but I know Travis is a rookie. I'm not I don't really know about Hamlet's history in the sim racing, but I'm sure, Mike, can you fill me in on that a bit?
It's more open wheel based with Hamnet. He's been quite successful in open wheel leagues. Obviously, these are quite far from open wheelers, as these are big, heavy rear-wheel drive touring cars. As Asbury, even closer to Strani now, just behind. But Travis makes a move. He doesn't pay off and slides. Loses some time. That, unless Hamnet makes a mistake, that should be 4th for Hamnet, 5th for Travis, who, after looking at the back of Oscar Hardwick the entirety of Sandown, is going to be sick of staring at the back of Smile Power cars.
Yeah, not
As
too
nice
much
as they
smile
may look.
caused by that.
As nice as they may look, it gets boring after a while.
Yeah, so it's Asbury on the back of Strana that's now become the main battle towards that, the lower end of the top 10. Strana sliding his car around. Of course, as we've mentioned many times, he is our championship leader, and also racing for Ice Cold, who is the constructors leader. And he is just struggling at the moment in that car. As
that
Mike
car,
said,
that car looks like it's got no grip left. It's just sliding around like a wet fish.
Yeah, he's swapped tires with Rob Taplin by the looks of things, but he's really struggling. He's been doing mid 11s, high 11s, and there goes Asbury down the inside, and he can't quite get that car down. He can't quite make the moves to this contact. The exit, Strana's going to run a bit wide, and Strana's going to have the inside to the hairpin. But it's all about who can get the power down, and Strana looks like he's struggling too much. Speaking of struggling, it's Asbury who can't get the power down. Slides wide, and Strana holds on to the position, but can he hold on for this final lap, which we are now entered?
I think, barring a mistake from Holm or third-party interference, Holm's going to win this race, followed very closely by Tolborg, so that's going to push Holm obviously closer towards that championship fight, even by just a couple of points. But Jesper Tolborg will become the new championship leader, assuming there's no third-party interference between him and the finish line.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, but hopefully he should be
okay. Sally's made a big mistake. Hamlet's right on the back of him, but he goes very, very wayward from that apex. As Travis stays behind, but Holm's going to run up to the last corner now as his position's changing further back. I think that's Rabio passes to Vite for 12th as Holm comes out the final corner.
Yep, passes Matthew Allerton, who's been lapped, stays out of the way, and there's going to be no trouble for these guys at the front. It's Adrian Holm who snakes his way across the line to win race 1 from round 5 at Townsville, take his second win on the trot. Great job for the Sharkskins factory driver, followed by our new championship leader Jesper Tolberg in his first race for Airstream, doing well in my former seat, it has to be said, taking a second place. Rasmus Salo third for one-on-one with Harley Hamnet, finishing 4th and jumping straight into the pit lane. We've got Lewis Travis finishing a respectable 5th place, and if Sven de Vries will be happy with 6th for Walters Automotive. Then Eric Strana does hold off from Danny Asbury for 7th position. Danny obviously in 8th. Oscar Hardwick does pick up 9th, and Glavak with that damaged high-speed car, missing front end after hitting the wall and spinning, but he does hold on to 10th, ahead of the Magenta Warriors car of Tommy Oyala. Then we have Eunice Ravio in 12th on his return to sim racing for Frami Racing. But he's definitely going to be one to watch for the rest of the season because we know how good he is in the V8s from his experience in TPS. He's managed to beat the best that there is in the V8 world, so he'll be right up there, I'm sure, at some point this season. Eric Trevite does pick up 13th, which I'm not too sure he'll be too happy about, but as he has picked up something, so he shows he has been there. Fran Lopez finishes 14th, and Anders Nielsen rounds out the point scorers in 15th. Unfortunately, Robert Wiesenmuller has only finished 16th, but I'm sure he would have been higher up there had it not been for him. Yeah, exactly, starting from the pit lane and sorting out all the grid problems. So if he'd been able to focus just on the race, I'm sure he would have been right up there. Kevin Siggy 17th with David Yunt 18th. Jonathan Ockerklin picks up 19th for Optimum Sim Racing, and Rob Taplin. The strategy didn't work in the end. He's down to 20th position for that walk racing car. I'm expecting to see him in the pits for the next one, especially being so high up in the championship. Allington and Vanian in a YTF1 formation, 21st and 22nd, with Tim Straub 23rd for Frami, a lap down, and Rui Martins 24th. And our final two finishers, Chris Williamson in 25th. Sounds like there's so many drivers in this field, I'm losing my breath going through them. And JJ Wang, 26th, and final finisher for Experience GP.
Yeah, unfortunately, late on in that race, we lost Tobias Olsen, who pulled off. He had a lot of damage when I saw him, but he pulled off just as he was about to get lapped by Holm, and I guess maybe the car stalled or something, but he didn't get going again after that. But yeah, race 1, very exciting to the last lap. Hopefully, race 2 is more of the same.
Yeah, battles we saw throughout the field, and yeah, very exciting race from everybody involved. So well done to all the drivers. We saw nothing too bad in terms of racecraft or drivers crashing into each other or punching each other or anything like that. It was all hunky dory and clean from what we saw. So that's good to see, and hopefully more of that in race 2. more good battling to come, and you can't expect anything different. This league has provided great races for every single event of the season, so we're going to have a slight break and then head into the qualifying session. But as we said, Jesper now takes the lead in the championship. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I thought that that would have happened, but probably second race at Oran Park. Not yet. So Holmes got more time to go, but I just need to quickly fix some settings in the server, so hopefully we don't have the same issue in first race with the grid.
Yeah, hopefully not, but not sure if we'll be able to get that changed. But let's just hope for the best. And if not, it's it's not the end of the world. We've still got the race going, but it's a shame for all the guys right at the back of the grid. They're going to be struggling with that one slightly. But qualifying, I mean, what's your predictions for the second qualifying session, which is exactly the same format as the first? We're going to see a 10-minute shootout where drivers can set as many lap times as they choose, and it's all down to who can set the fastest lap. So what's your prediction for the qualifying?
You can't really look past the guys who are fastest in first qualifying. So Hamnet, Glavak, Holm, Tolborg. I think those guys will still be the same four at the front, but obviously, you could probably put the top 12 in the bag and throw the bag, and whatever order they come out is the order they'll qualify. Basically,
I mean, as you say, the top 12 are so close to the match, you could throw them all in the bag and pick them out like Scrabble, but Harley Hamnet looks like he's the guy who's got the most pace on the most consistent basis, so he'd have to be where the money lies for the pole position. Then again, he got pole in race 1, he might not be up to the same standard, especially after he struggled slightly in the actual race. He didn't quite get the result he might have wished for, although I'm sure he'll be happy with 4th place. So there's a lot of names that have potential to do well here. Let's just wait and see who gets the job done. But yeah, we're finding out that we're actually going to change the format slightly for the start of the race, for race 2, just to avoid these grid issues. We're going to have a standing start once the server's restarted, so everyone should be able to have a grid slot, like they do when they're leaving for the formation lap. So as long as drivers are aware they're not setting off for a formation lap, it's actually a race start, then everything should go well.
Yep, indeed. I mean, if you set off for a formation lap and jump the start by accident, that could totally ruin the event with you guys, with them and anyone else who may be affected. Because if you see someone go, then you're more likely to just flinch yourself, and flinch is all it takes, and you could be given with a jump start.
Yep, so don't do it. Basically, we're going to, obviously we'll be able to remind the drivers about that coming closer to the start of the second race, but it's going to be qualifying before then, and we're just loading that in just now, so the servers had a restart, and hopefully we should be underway for qualifying 2 from Townsville, round 5 of the season, and let's see who's going to be first out of the pits once we advance sessions. I do think Oscar Hardwick will be another name that's going to be looking to be slightly higher up the order than he was in qualifying 1. Saying that, even though he was maybe down in 8th or 7th, he was only a couple of tenths off, so it's as we said, it's such a mixed bag. There's so many different drivers that have the chance. We just really don't know what's going to be happening. But all we do know is it's going to be an exciting race with lots of action, as usual. And we just wait now for the qualifying session.
Yep, 2 minutes till the qualifying session, allowing the drivers to do whatever they need to do. It's like have a bite of a sandwich, or do a quick game restart to fix any force feedback issues or whatnot. Maybe some people use this time out on the track to make a couple of setup adjustments. Who knows? But yeah, I think though, with the top 12 being within a second, or however many it was slightly more than that, and a second being so easy to lose around here and around most tracks. Can't really predict the pole there. You can predict a number of people that could be on pole, and then even then they'll still all be wrong. So it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's it's just much like the V8 Supercar Championship in real life. It's very unpredictable. Many different cars, many different drivers, different teams. All of them have good chances of winning. It's just about putting in the effort during the practice, making sure you can not only set a good lap time but do it consistently. Practice your race runs. Make sure you know how to be good in the tires. Make sure that pit lane entrance is nailed, and if everything clicks together, someone could find themselves starting 7th, running 5th or 4th in the race, and oh wait a minute, I'm winning the race, and go ahead and win. But I don't think we'll see anyone trying what Rob Taplin tried in race 1. If they, then again, these drivers won't know what the other guys around them might have been trying. I mean, they'll be vaguely familiar with the strategy of the guys right close to them racing, because they'll know if they've gone into pits, or oh, why isn't it showing up in my standings? Oh, it's because they haven't pitted yet. So they'll know roughly, but many of them won't know that Top 1 struggled so much. But generally, what happens if someone does a strategy in race 1, like for example pitting, and it works, then they're not going to try something different for race 2. They'll stick to what they know. So that's probably what we're going to see in this race. So about 30 seconds to go till the qualifying session, and it's going to be action packed. It's difficult. It's always difficult coming into the second qualifying session after you've had a race, because you're so used to driving on worn tires, on race fuel, and the car's changing all the time. And just to jump straight out there with fresh tires and quali trim, on there might be some slightly different settings. You might use more grill tape to decrease the drag, but of course increase the engine life, which you don't really need for the qualifying. You only need for one lap. So definitely some variables around as we're about to head into the qualifying session.
Yep, indeed. Server over now. And yep, hopefully everyone threw on their qualifying head again and get back on track and set as best time as they can. As Jesper Tolborg conveniently, first person out, 10th place on the server currently, obviously with a random server assignment.
Yeah, he can even win. It's quite depressing how he can even win the race out of pit lane. What can he not win, Jesper? Leading the championship now. He's won 3 races, I believe, this season. 2 races this season. So the only man to win more is Eric Strana. He's just, he's one of these guys. Whatever Jesper's going to be racing, whichever series, whatever type of car, Jesper is always going to be right up at the front of the grid. And he's proved it in so many leagues over the seasons. Notably in the Touring Pro Series, he's been multiple champion in multiple different cars. He's by far the winningest and most successful driver when it comes to championships won and things like that. So, whatever car you throw Jesper in, he's going to be right at the front, and you've got a highly competitive league when he's in it.
Yeah, I mean, Brasilia, the guy, I talked him into racing a Mini Cooper on GameStop car in the Sim Racing Pro Mini Challenge last season, and he showed up after 3 rounds because I asked Jesper to come in and replace one of my drivers who unfortunately dropped out, and he went and won the championship after being 3 scores down on everyone. So
wow.
If anyone thinks they can steal Jesper's title from him, the sign-ups for that are currently open on www.simracingpro.com. As Tolborg starting a lap.
So Jesper approaching, he's 10th in the server at the moment, obviously not having set a lap, approaches the right-hander, second gear over that curb, put 2 wheels over the yellow line, gets a good exit from there, get close to the wall as you can on the right-hand side, down to third, flick it left, a quick burst of throttle and then a tiny dab of brakes, throw it over to the right-hand side, put 4 wheels on that green AstroTurf area as long as you keep within the limits, which Jesper just about does. Put 2 wheels, just avoid that curb because it can throw you. The curb size is very large and there's a chance we can see some flips, but I'm surprised we didn't see any in race 1, to be honest, especially with Tveit on the grid, but managed to keep it on 4 wheels for once. As Jesper powers down now to the hairpin at the end of the circuit, gets the power down nicely, 2 wheels onto the curb on the outside, flat out through this right-hand kink, and of course these guys on fresh tyres will be loving the amount of grip they are getting. Jesper misses the curb on the left-hand side, gets the power down out of the final corner. Very neat lap from Jesper, which of course you do come to expect from the man. Crosses the line and does a 110.5, so it's not great, but it's a banker. Rasmus Salo instantly beats him on a 110.061. Tommy Oyala goes third on a 110.8, so these guys instantly putting in half-decent laps.
Keep an eye just behind for Hardwick and Asbury, who are setting best sectors. In fact, Asbury's just finished his lap. Where did that put him? Second behind Salo, despite setting 2 of the best sectors, so Salo evidently beat Asbury by enough in the middle sector. Hardwick up to third, Tveit 4th. We'll jump in Tolborg. Everyone's coming around to finish.
Times are pouring in.
On 112.7 for an open lap. That's not going to be good for him, and he's going to want to get on and improve by at least 3, maybe even 4 seconds if he wants to go at pole.
Yeah, so the only man that's actually set a time that is going to be good enough to come right in the mix at the moment is Rasmus Salo on the 110.0. It's going to need to be, you're going to need to set a 110.0 or a 109 if you want to be right up there in the top 5, and Rasmus is the only man who's done it so far. So interesting to see where that kind of time could end up putting him, but hopefully for his sake he will improve on that, and it should see him even further up the grid. But he does have, of course, the provisional pole position. Tolborg does go second.
Yep, Hardwick also improving. He's closer to Salo than Asbury was, so he may slot into closer to Salo than Tolberg was, so he may slot into that second place. Holm, as we expected, is improving further back, as Hardwick takes the provisional pole by 0.036. Tolberg has set a sector one that's beaten Hardwick's by about half a tenth, so but that's only in Sector 1. Several drivers are improving through Sector 2 and 3, such as Eric Strane and Rob Taplin, just to name a couple.
Yep, so we've got a lot of drivers going quickly at the moment, but it is Holm who has the pole position on a 109.826, followed by Oscar Hardwick at the moment. Rasmus is 110.0, still good enough for third place at the moment, but of course we've got 10 minutes to go, so most of these drivers will still improve their lap times. As we see anyone on a quick lap at the moment, Tvite's in the pit, so he'll not be on a good one. Just not sure if there's anyone up on Holm's time at the moment. As I'm just going to hopefully get some live timing up soon so I can see how the sectors are going for each of the drivers. But we have Holmes a good 2/10 ahead of everyone at the moment, but we did see a 109.7 in the first qualifying session and in the practice session, so it's definitely doable.
Apologies for that. Strane down on himself, improving on pole, had a Sector 2 where he gained a lot of time on himself, but Holmes Sector 2 obviously much better. Strane gets out of shape. Just behind him on the road, Janko Glavac, 2.5 tenths up on himself, a tenth and a half down on Holm. Holm set a pretty good last sector. If my memory serves me correctly, that's not as fast as the fastest from Quali 1, so it is beatable. Go back into the final corner.
Kevin Siggy's on a good lap as well.
Back to the line, 10.1.
Yeah, and Asbury in 6th on a good lap as well. So it's a good lap from Glavac to put him 5th for high speed. He's got Asbury just behind him, but also on a good lap heading into the last hairpin now. So let's see where he goes.
Salo's on a good lap in 3rd, so we'll see where Asbury goes first, and then we'll get back to Salo.
He's going to cross the line now as Danny Asbury goes up to 2nd on a 109.828, so a massive 0.02 of a second off pole position from Asbury, who goes 2nd position, and it just shows you how close this racing is, and especially when it comes to hot lapping, it seems to be that these guys have got this track nailed, and every inch is being fought for, and every millisecond is being fought for by the looks of things.
Glavac, Asbury's teammate, is up on pole, so he's improving again. Salo around the last turn, it looked a little bit sideways, so this may lose Salo a little bit of time. In fact, it doesn't. It gains him some as he improves his time. I believe jumps Hardwick, but stays 3rd. As Glavac into the final turn, 0.037 down on Holm.
Yeah,
it's
Strana's on a nice lap as well. And he goes to 7th position as we've got Glavac going pole. And he is 0.04 of a second ahead of Adrian Holm, so massive gaps there from the front 3. We've got 0.04 between 1st and 2nd, and 0.02 between 2nd and 3rd. So Danny's gonna, if he improves 0.06 of a second, you'll find himself on the front of the grid as opposed to the 2nd row. So very close, right up at the front. But we haven't seen a 0.7 yet. So where's Harley Hamnet? I mean, we haven't seen his name much in this qualifying session. Just looking down, Harley Hamnet hasn't actually set a lap time yet, down the 30th, so he needs to get his act together, but he keeps on pulling into the pit, so obviously having some issues there, but we really hope he gets out and does some laps, because we know how quick he can be in the qualifying trim.
Right, he's decided that he's not satisfied with the 13th from race 1, he is sliding that car around, trying to get every possible millisecond of time. Currently 0.062 down on Glavac after Sector 2. But this time from Tvite will definitely improve his standing. Holm improving in 2nd. Oh,
yep,
sorry.
So we've got quite a few drivers on a good lap at the moment. Tvite's going to head around the final corner. Bit of lag, so I'm not sure. Yep, Siggy in 6th. Where's this going to put Eric Tvite as he crosses the line? Will it improve him? No, it doesn't. Oh no, sorry, he's improved his time, but not his position, so still in 10th.
Is up, almost 2/10 after Sector 1, and himself, a 10th and a half down on Glavac as he's coming through the Sector 2 split. Now he's lost lots of time there, but he's quite even with himself. Behind him on the road is Harley Hamnet, so hopefully Hamnet can get back and get quick. Wiesenmuller improves, that takes him up to 13th, 10.4, so that's less than 6, just slightly over 6/10 separating the top 13.
Yeah, and De Vries just jumped up to 8th position, and we've got a big train of cars there from Salo, Strana, and De Vries. But Siggy
Breeze
sounds
actually up
like
on
he's
his
on a
lap
good
in
lap.
behind Strani.
So Siggy's going to come around the final corner now. He's currently in 6th place on a 1:10.090
Hardwick improves.
as
Hardwick to
Travis
5th,
improves to
Travis to
8th.
8th.
So where's Siggy going to go? He does not improve his time there. He loses a 10th of a second in the last sector. Sorry, no, he goes quicker than his personal best in the last sector, but he didn't manage to improve his time.
Holborg, half a tenth off of Glavac. He's up on himself, just coming out of sector 2. A run down to the third to last corner. He's got Wang and Vanyan in front, but far enough they shouldn't pose any danger. Although Wang goes off here. But if Tolborg just equals his final sector, that will move him into the 109s. Onto front couple of rows of the grid.
So the Airstream car powers down the main straight. He's missing his teammate, and he goes pole position on a 109.814. So he's a 100th of a second ahead of Janko Glavak, and that puts Jesper Tolberg on pole position for race 2 provisionally. Still 5 minutes to go, so it's not as if it's the final panic for a lap. They've still got a few laps in them, but yeah, that's a great lap from Jesper Tolberg. Really got the car set up nicely. Of course, he's missing a teammate in this race because Kevin Angwin, who would usually be in the other Airstream car, had to pull out last minute, so they unfortunately couldn't find a replacement driver for Kevin. So Jesper doesn't really have a teammate for this one, but he doesn't really need one by the looks of things.
Oyala's improving. He's very close to Tolberg after sector 1. He's down in 12th as Hamnet jumps up into 14th. He probably won't be very satisfied with that. He's going to be looking for at least another 8 or 9 places to improve.
Yeah, at least he's not on. As long as he's not right at the back of the grid, then that's fine. As Jesper abandons his lap. But yeah, great lap from Hamnet so far. Over the curbs, gets 4 wheels on the AstroTurf. Good selection of gears there. Managed to hold down in 3rd.
10th up on Tolborg. He's now in sector 3. 1/10 up on Tolborg. Currently 2nd. If he improves, going to go into the lead. Only 8 thousandths off of it.
Yeah, heading down the final straight now.
He made a mistake somewhere, unless that's my timing messing up. No, that was him making a mistake somewhere.
Yep, he lost. Oh, yeah, he gave up on that one. He lost 4 seconds or so in the last sector.
Travis is up on his time. Abandons it, goes to the pits. Strani improved on that lap, I believe.
Hamnet's going to cross the line and goes 11th, so that's a slight improvement. But, I mean, I say 11th, it's a 1:10.2. It's a great lap time, but from 1st to 12th position is only 4/10 of a second. So Hamnet, he's got 3.5 minutes. He's back in the pits, and hopefully he'll be able to set another lap. But I mean, at least he's not right at the back. At least he's actually somewhere in the midfield. So Harley, at least he's got a lap in. Let's see if he can go any quicker. He's got 4/10 to find, and he will be right near the front of the grid. But I'm just absolutely amazed, Mike, by how close the guys at the front are. I mean, even every time we see a different name pop up in the top 4,
it's
less than 1,000th of a second.
Glavac's up on himself and up on Tolborg, but as is Holm, who's also up on Tolborg. Salo's practically even with Tolborg, and then further back to Freeze, also even with himself. There was someone I spotted earlier, just a little bit further back. Wiesenmuller's up on himself, as is Yunt, so everyone's going to be improving. Glavac rounds the final turn.
Where's his time going to put? Why is it going to improve him? And he doesn't improve his time. He loses.
Holm into the final turn. He's up on Tolborg.
Half a tenth in the last sector is what cost him, because it would have been pole position if he'd matched his last sector from his fastest lap, but he stays second. As Adrian Holm goes pole position by, oh dear, another massive margin of 2,000ths of a second for Adrian Holm. So it's now, let me just look at this from first.
Eric Strani is now up on pole time. He's coming around towards the end of sector 2, so let's throw more people within these couple of thousandths of a second. He's currently 10th and only 1,000th himself ahead of Hamnet.
It's just ridiculous, the margins.
Tveit just in front of Strani on the road. He's almost a 10th up on Holm. Tveit 12th. And Holm has a pretty good last sector.
Okay, so Holm is 2,000ths of a second ahead of Tolberg for first and second. Then we go 8,000ths of a second back to Janko Glavak in third, and 6,000ths back to Danny Asbury in fourth position, who is then a massive 300ths of a second ahead of Rasmus Salo. As Tveit goes 5th, within a 100th of a second of 4th place. So, words fail me.
And he improved to 9th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, within 0.014 separating these three those three positions, that is Siggy, Strani, and Wieselmuller.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at this. You got Lewis Travis, Harley Hamnet, and Tommy Oyala, or you know, especially in Travis's and Hamnet's case, they've set decent lap times. They're very quick drivers, but because they haven't set an absolutely great lap, they find themselves down in 12th and 13th at the moment. As speaking of that, Hamnet's going to round the final corner. I'm not sure if he's on a hot lap at the moment, but he is heading down the final stretch. So he's either going to start his hot lap or finish one, Harley Hamnet, and it was a hot lap. He goes 12th. But he's identical, within a thousandth of a second of Lewis Travis, so this is just ridiculous. To Veit up on pole.
Yes, he is. He's down on himself, so if he can just equal his own... Actually, no, if he equals his own sector, obviously he'll go slower. He needs to improve, but he's got a bit of a wiggle on that could hinder his run to the line. It does.
It has. Yep.
Kevin Siggy up on pole by half a tenth. He's only in sector 1. He's currently 8th.
Oh, he's ran wide though in the fast chicane. I mean, it might be this particular line he uses, but to me it looked a bit scrappy. Harley Hamnet's also on a lap and he almost rolls it, so that's him gone, and he's out of the qualifying session as he bins it straight into the tyre wall. So Harley Hamnet will start no better than 12th position for this race, which he will be disappointed with. Siggy, let's see where his second sector is, but I believe, oh no, he definitely has lost a bit of time there. So at the moment, just to keep updated, it's Holm, Tauberg, Glavak, and Asbury.
Salo a 10th up on Holm as Veit is spun and out of the session. There's some debris from what looked like a high-speed car that was just kicked up from in front of Salo. He's some tenths down now on the pole time as the session timer is ticked to 0. Everyone's going to be finishing their laps and going back to the pits.
So Hardwick's going to cross the line now in 7th on his final lap. Let's see where this puts Hardwick, if it will improve him. And it doesn't improve him. He stays down in 7th position, but no, that's not too bad a lap time from the Englishman.
David Yunt and Yunus Rabio both improving on their times. They're a ways behind though, as Rabio to the line. He improves, that's him up to 16th. He jumps Fran Lopez and David Yunt, who is on a lap himself.
Yep, followed by Lewis Travis, who's also on a lap. Yunt gets very sideways, and he's going to hinder Lewis Travis as he's not careful. Gets sideways again, so Yunt's lap's going to be gone. And he gets out the way of Travis, but I'm not sure how good or bad a lap Travis is on. He makes a nice job of the final corner, has to be said. And if he wasn't a good lap, that's going to have done him no problems whatsoever. He's going to cross the line, and it's not going to improve him, unfortunately. He stays in 13th position. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will round up for qualifying, or will it? Because Fran Lopez now is going to cross the line, but doesn't improve.
Miraval behind him goes up to 30th. Top 4 within 0.016. And the top 13 within 0.396. That's crazy close.
I mean, Asbury will be sitting there thinking, what on earth do I have to do? You know, he's sitting in 4th position. He's done a 109.828, and if you said, oh, he's only a hundredth of a second off pole position, you'd go, oh, great, at least I'm on the front row. And no, he's behind his teammate. He's behind Tauberg and Holmes. So, a great session. Brilliant demonstration of the quality we have in these drivers. Every single corner, each braking zone, each turn-in point. The amount of pressure they apply to the accelerator on every exit is so important, and they managed to get that close. It's just really tribute to how good these drivers are performing today.
Yeah, I'll tell you who'll be happiest of all with this qualifying session. It'll be David Nannon, the team owner of High Speed Racing, getting both his cars on the second row. So...
Definitely, just when you said that there, I instantly went, wait a minute, is David Nannon racing? How's he done here? But yeah, of course, forgetting, of course, that David Nannon racing for High Speed, owning High Speed Racing, and he's got his 2 cars, as Mike said, 3rd and 4th with Glavak and Asbury. And they are, of course, the addition to the league. If you missed that, I believe they joined in Manfield. After missing that, there was a space opened up on the grid for the 3rd round at Manfield, and those guys took that position. The high-speed guys occupied it, and they've put out 2 great drivers that are clearly closely matched. I mean, there's only 0.002 of a second between them. It looks like on a hot lap. So they're, we know how good a driver Asbury is, and Glavak's obviously proved himself as well. So he's got a great bunch of drivers, a great team. And they've got a good chance at least a podium in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it could well come down to a battle between both of them for whoever gets the 3rd slot on the podium, maybe, or even for the race win in 2nd place. But I mean, this race, you got Eric de Veit stuck up there in 5th, who is a real catalyst. He's going to make everything happen quicker, whether it be mistakes or just passes or make the gap string out quicker, whatever it's going to be. De Veit's going to ensure that it happens faster, and you put him, Salo, Hardwick, and Siggy pool on the rows 3 and 4, who are four well-known aggressive drivers, or so everyone says, and put four of them together, you're going to get some sparks definitely. And further back, you've got Strani, who lost the Championship League, qualifies only 9th, ahead of Wiesenmuller and De Vries. Then Hamlet, who was on the pole last time, I believe, and Travis in 13th, and that's all within 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see there on the start-finish line. Everyone's practicing their starts. We saw Asbury and JJ Wang, Williamson, all practicing their race starts because, of course, they will be on cold brakes and cold tires, unlike usual, not having a formation lap for this one. Of course, with the due to the grid problems, this is one way of solving it, which is very good, quick thinking by I'm not sure who thought of that idea, but credit to whoever it was. I believe it was Rob.
As much as I like to take credit, it was Rob.
Yeah, and I was thinking about giving. Oh, it's Lopez and Asbury and Fran Lopez doing an interesting way of taking a position without actually taking it properly and completely wiping out Danny Asbury there. But yep, Robert was probably driving that whole race trying to think of how to solve the problem because he, of course, I think he's new to being one of the main administrators at the league. Obviously, he is, or was, I should say, one of the main administrators at Touring Pro Series. But doing, along with yourself, Mike, and of course Lewis McGlade, who we need to give big credit to on the cameras, are mainly running this top step league, and they're doing a great job so far. So Rob, maybe not concentrating on driving as much as to be on the commentary box and making sure everything's okay running with the servers. So it's great to see the amount of effort that these guys are putting in.
Well, it's a learning experience from us. I mean, hopefully we're going to get our next league up and running fairly quickly after this one finishes in 4 weeks at Bathurst. So hopefully we're going to use anything we've learned from this league to make our next one even better.
Yep, definitely. So we have about a minute and a half to go with warm-up. I'm going to ask you the question, Mike, who's going to be your winner for the second one? Because I'm going to point out that I think I predicted Adrian Holm to win the first one, so it's 1-0 to me at the moment. So who's going to be your winner for the second one? Okay, I believe Mike's gone away for just a minute, moved to get a drink or something.
Yep. No,
but
I got my microphone on mute.
That's what it is. Easily done. We all do it. We all do it.
Yeah. Well, there's obviously 13 people within 0.4 of a second, so I may as well squiggle my mouse around the screen, and whoever I click on is my pick. And it just happened I clicked on Danny Asbury, so.
Right, I'm going to do the same.
Danny Asbury for the win.
And Fran Lopez for me. He's going to be our race winner. But as we've been reminded that the double headers from all the rounds so far this season, the winner from the first race has gone on to win the second race. So if you're actually thinking about it without using the amazing method of Mike, then you'd have to put your money on Adrian Holm again, because every driver, as we say, who won the first race has gone on to win the second in these double headers. And the double headers so far have been Ruapuna and Manfield, I believe, with the two. So this is the third double header at Townsville.
Won by Tolborg and Manfield won by Strani.
And of course, everyone apart from Adrian Holm will be thinking, third time lucky?
I guess. I guess that Holm will be thinking more towards what's going to happen in race 1, because obviously everyone's going to be going into turn 1 with much colder brakes and tyres this time. And as much as it was all very clean, there was a bit of door banging in the midfield, as you'd expect, when with 30-something people going into a tight corner like that. But combine cold brakes in with that, and everyone's going to be a bit on the edge of saying, "Oh, please don't hit me! Please don't hit me! Please don't hit me!" Hopefully, we'll see an instant free turn 1 again.
Yep, and the greatest thing about this is with no formation lap, we can get on with the race, and there's no tension and no big wait as we anticipation and formation lap. We can just get on with the action, which is going to be exciting from the viewer's point of view and probably terrifying from the driver's point of view, because this will be the first standing start. Well, obviously not the first standing start, but the first start without a formation lap for these drivers this season. As our famous announcer, make sure everyone knows they should be on the grid, because you can't obviously miss him unless you've turned his volume off, which I've never found a way of doing, and I need to remind myself to do that.
I've had to change what it says to something from a different mod, but
yeah, all our factory users will be familiar with that announcer. He's probably the most irritating man on the planet.
That guy that can't change a tire properly and just constantly keeps grinding the bolts on the tires with the stupid gun thing. But Lights are on.
more importantly right now, it's got to be the light switch to come on, because Adrian Holm is going to be on pole position and the lights are going to go out now, and we of course are doing a race start. It looks like someone's been left behind. I think that might be
Horrible
Sven
sound.
de Vries.
It was Siggy.
It was
They got
Siggy.
left behind, caused
And
a bit of a kerfuffle back there with Oyala having to go wide and avoid it.
Oh, big contact with the wall for some of the guys there. Seeing bits flying everywhere.
Oh, that looks like Hamnet backwards in the middle of the pack.
It
That's not
is,
good.
it's
As
Hamnet.
Salo goes up the inside. This contact. That's Asbury, I believe, getting knocked about. He's back down to 9th behind Sven de Vries now. He's in the meat in a water sandwich.
Yeah, hectic start in terms of action at the back.
Backwards. That's Wiesenmuller has gone in backwards to that corner. Slow to get going. I think he's not going to get going at all. That's a
Oh, and there's caution
horrible
has
start.
been called.
Yep.
So is this...
Kayaglu is lost a wheel. Has had a red flag being called again. Second race in a row.
Because we see Wiesenmuller stricken car overtaken by a Kyrglu in his three-wheeled Ford or Holden. I can no longer see the front of it, so I cannot tell. I believe it's Holden, but the Mazurek racing driver, as well as Harley Hamnet, will be delighted to be restarting this race because it gives him another chance. Of course, Hamnet had a massive crash there. I thought I saw someone hitting the wall. I assumed it was lag, but no. Hamnet found himself facing the wrong way on the circuit, and the red flag has been called for the first time. Well, second time it's got to be, because the last one was also a red flag, it could be said, in the top set race.
More due to technical difficulties.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first crash caused red flag, so I must say, starts at Townsville, maybe something needs to be improved on for next season.
Yeah, definitely. Several guys pin. I mean, people like Asbury, for example, who ended up almost backwards in that first corner. To get hit about. If you'd excuse me, John, I had to sort something real quick.
Yeah, that's fine. So we are going to have a red flag by the looks of things. Everyone's just going to get their act together, and we're going to have a race restart. So it's lucky for all the guys who got involved in the carnage at the start, as Adrian Hommel will have to defend his lead all over again. Okay, so while we're waiting, let's just remind you, I should say, what's going to be happening for the next couple of events at the Top Step V8 Supercar Championship. And the next event will be Oran Park, which is another double-header sprint race in 2 weeks' time on May the 18th, and that's a fantastic track. As I'm sure you all know, the now defunct, of course, Oran Park can be reignited thanks to sim racing and thanks to this league. We're going to be racing there again in the V8, so that'll be one not to miss. And then the season finale, of course, at Mount Panorama, the 500-kilometre endurance, 2 drivers per car. That will be in 4 weeks' time, June the 1st, at the same time as now, which is, of course, 5:30 GMT or 6:30 British time. I have no idea. Unfortunately, I'm not a master of time zones, so I could not tell you what time that is where you are if you're somewhere across the world from here. But as I say, 5:30 GMT, and that's the season finale at Mount Panorama. So the server is being restarted, and we hopefully can get it'll be our 4th in the race start now at Townsville, and hopefully get the second race of round 5 underway, Mike.
Yeah, hopefully. Hang on, that's just gone a little bit wrong again. I'm gonna have to restart that. Could you just give me a second again?
So once these servers been cleared and restarted, hopefully we'll have the same grid order saved for this race, and that won't need to be worked on, or at least we won't need a repeat of qualifying. Let's just hope that's the case. It should be, presuming nothing out of the ordinary happens. But by the looks of things, I mean, you guys may be more familiar with server work than me. Is there a way that the grid order is saved, or do you think we'll have to do qualifying all over again?
There is, and I'm just looking for it.
Okay, so I better just leave you then, Mike, to go and help sort out your league and save the day.
Yeah, hopefully.
Your chance to be a hero. So we're of course the admins are gonna try and work on that, see if we can restore the grid that was set during the second qualifying session. And the red flag caused a bit of chaos there. Just to recap, I believe it was Harley Hamnet who got very hard into the wall in the right-hand kink. I'm not sure if there was contact there, or he just ran a bit wide, maybe carried too much speed, or it could be an absolute number of things. Cold tires, cold brakes, and it was quite predictable that in the end we had a driver smash into the Armco and ended up facing the wrong way. We had about 8 cars involved in that skirmish. So, I mean, the good thing about sim racing crashes is you can watch them and can go, wow, that was spectacular, and no one's going to get injured. So, saying no one's going to get injured, I think Matt Richards once broke a bone in a sim racing crash when the wheel spun around quickly. Sort of one of my friends, once when he was practicing for a race, managed to dislocate his finger while sim racing. So, okay, maybe you can get some injuries from it, but hopefully not as dangerous as real life when you smash into an Armco barrier. But we should be now about a minute and a half, I believe, till the session advances to what should be the race. But of course, this is a new situation for us, so we're just going to really tell you what the information is as it comes, and try and keep you updated as much as possible. But yes, I believe the qualifying thing should be sorted, so we should hopefully
I
not
find
have
the
to repeat
file. I just
qualifying.
need to figure out how to apply it to the server. So if you could just give me a couple of more minutes.
Yep. So commentator slash server saver, and Mike's hopefully gonna be able to get the results posted onto the server, which basically means that we can get the result that was saved by the qualifying session, so we can have the right order on the grid. Adrian Holm will be quite frustrated with that. He had pole position. He had the momentum going from the first race when he had 2 on the trot now, and the history of the league tells us that everyone who wins the first doubleheader, as we said, should win the second race of that doubleheader. So he would have been, all pumped up for that. He made a good start, got into the lead, and another red flag situation here. And we're just trying to calm all the drivers down, make sure everyone's prepared for the second start, and hopefully it should be cleaner than the first. Now, unfortunately, I can't bring you updated championship driver standings at the moment because the whole event needs to run, and we need to sort everything out before the standings can be updated. So I cannot tell you what the standings are as of race 1, but what I can tell you is the lead of the championship has switched from Eric Strana's Ice Cold Machine to Jesper Tolberg's multi-team machine, but as of course for this event, Aerostream, and he's the only Aerostream car on the field, so he's popped that car into the lead of the championship, and he'll be looking to maintain that now for the rest of the season. He'll be trying to not let that lead slip at any point and just try and increase it each time. So hopefully we should have this sorted out, and it's a bit of a shame we had that red flag because we were, everyone was all ready for that second race, and let's just hope these drivers don't lose too much concentration and are ready to take the start. But we are going to be advancing sessions right at the moment, according to whoever it is that's chatting on behalf of the server. And Mike's just sorting all that out for us. I think he's got the wrong button because he sent me a setup for his V8 supercar. So, but anyway, there we go. So Mike has managed to sort the grid out, and we shall be racing very, very shortly. So apologies for this gap caused by the red flag in the last race after Harley Hamnet smashed into the Armco barrier on the opening lap, taking out about 10 drivers, obviously unintentionally. I don't know if there was, an incident heading into the corner. Definitely, we have no idea whether it was Harley's fault or not, but the track unfortunately was just too, the track is not quite wide enough, and there are too many cars into one doesn't go, and we ended up with a bit of gridlock going on Monaco style, so that's why we had the red flag, and that's why we're having to sort out the server at the moment and restart this race. But I believe Mike's done a bit of he's managed to save it by loading the grid, but he's loaded the grid for the wrong event. So according to this, I am he's just going to find the right file and hopefully shall be sorted. But according to this, me and Mike are starting 19th and 20th on the grid, so that would be interesting to say the least. But there we go, that's it sorted now. But yeah, the championship so far has been fantastic. It's a fantastic opener to the top step as a league. It's a great way to start off the thing. They've had good, great numbers of field. We've had a great number of teams, high caliber teams entering the championship, and a lot of drivers that many people will recognise, throughout many different aspects of sim racing. A lot of guys new to the V8s and a lot of guys V8 specialists. So it's, it's a great mixture, and it's obviously provided, as you can see by that qualifying session in particular, some close racing. And our superhero, otherwise known as Mike Bell, has returned to the commentary box. So hopefully that's it sorted now, Mike. But we noticed there you put us 19th and 20th on the grid by accident.
Yeah, I loaded the wrong batch file. I loaded the one from
I mean,
the
I'll race if you
qualifying
want me
which we
to.
but
If you're sick of me, I'll race if
yeah.
you want.
Also, by accident, I sent everybody the default setup,
Yeah.
so see if
Yes.
anybody's going to use
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, but that's the grid. Fingers crossed, touch wood in the right order again. So we're going to go to the race in minutes.
Let's just hope, for the driver's sake, that nobody loads that setup thinking it's some kind of wizard, amazing setup that Mike's created for this car, and is going to use it in this race, and turns out to be just the default setup. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. But maybe it could create some excitement
And maybe we also could create some annoyed drivers at the end.
and some crashes, and maybe another red flag.
John did it.
But here we go. So we are going to have, I believe, a 3 minutes warm-up session just to get the drivers back into the mode of driving, as opposed to shouting on the forum. Yeah, so, I mean, do you think this is going to have an effect on the driver's mentality, or do you think they'll just be able to forget about it and move on?
Probably they're just going to be able to move on, and this is a failed start, because I mean they happen sometimes. So to avoid, I just need to avoid letting them get to you.
Yep. So we've had, of course, in the first race we also had an abandoned start due to some server issues, and the race was restarted there as well. So we've had 2 red flagged races and 2 race restarts today, which is a first for the league and not something you see very often in sim racing. So I guess you could say it's realistic in the sense that, and it's also a good thing that we have the red flag system, because it means that drivers, that get involved in a pile up that wasn't their fault, as I'm interrupted by the incredibly loud announcer. But yeah, it means that drivers who get involved in that incident that wasn't their fault, there were 6 or 7 of them that had nothing to do with it and had their race ended straight away. So it's good to see that the red flag system is implemented, which quite a lot of leagues don't have, and I believe it's something they miss out on. But we are, finally, Mike, gonna go racing.
Yep, finally. Hopefully everyone's going to take to the grid, and there's hopefully no problems.
It's slightly ironic, actually, that I did say before this race that it's great that we don't have to wait the anticipation because we can just get straight on with the race. But how ironic is that? As, speaking of that, the red lights come on, and it's going to be Holm versus Tallberg into turn 1. The lights go out very, very quickly. Holm's got a great start. Tallberg in the Airstream machine bogs down. It's going to be Glavak up to second, Salo third, Tallberg dropping like a stone. He's now down to 6th position. 3 wide into the right-hand kink. Please don't do what we did in the first race, and hopefully... Oh no, the smile car's round again!
That's Hamlet. He's not round, but he's loose, and unfortunately he's tagged hard. Everybody seems to be facing the right way, though, so it's better than the previous start.
Yeah, Hamlet's lost his front wing again, so it's a terrible second start once again. Tveit somehow has managed to get that car in second without being on his roof, so great job from Eric Tveit there to get up to second. Janko Glavak in third, Salo fourth, Danny Asbury for high speed in fifth, so a decent start for high speed. Only one of their drivers lost a position, and they've both got both cars in the top 5 as Salo tries around the outside into the chicane, a move that has been done before and is possible, and it's been worked brilliantly there by Rasmus Salo, showing the drivers how it's done and showing that it's possible, moving up to 3rd place. Great move from Salo.
Oh, here comes Tolborg trying to looking to pass both high speeds at once, but Asbury with a bit of contact gets past Glavak. Right in behind is Tolborg. Strani trying to gain up as she can. Hardwick
as
in
the
there
Zurich
as well.
car plows off in the background. I believe that's Kyoglo. Once again, at least he's got 4 wheels in his wagon this time, but he's missing a front end and now he's facing the wrong direction, so a bit of a disappointing start from the Zurich driver.
Rasmus Salo up to 3rd from 6th, and Tveit up to 2nd from 5th, so good first lap from them as the high speeds have gone a little bit backwards. Unfortunately, we've lost Hamnet from the accident damage. Bit of nose to tail going on. Yeah,
it's unfortunate for him, but it was him that happened to be involved in incidents on the first lap of both of these races. The second race, first attempt, and the restart. So he's unfortunately retired and regain his composure for the next event, and hopefully he'll have as much pace because he was very impressive this event. But that's the end of him for now. As Salo pulls away from Asbury in 3rd position, but he's a long way behind Tveit actually. Tveit and Adrian are making a bit of a break for it right now, and things are looking very, very pretty for the previous race winner Adrian Holm in the Sharkskins car, because he's got Tveit behind him, who hasn't really proven any pace so far this weekend. I mean, he's no slouch by any means, and he's going to be quicker in this race than the last race.
Oh, Rabio dives past Siggy. That was for 10th. Rabio missed the corner a little bit. He's going to lose out in the end as these are the passes. Sorry to interrupt you there. It's just very out of nowhere from Rabio.
That's fine. And Ravio slots back into 12th position now, back on the back of Robert Wiesenmuller, who's had a much better start, as that's one of the one-on-one cars spinning off behind him. It's Tobias Olsen, and that is of course not the same Tobias Olsen that plays for West Brom, as Rory Martins gets sideways out of the hairpin as well, regains his composure and pulls away, but yeah, Olsen down in 28th. Now looking back towards the front, we've got Adrian Holm increasing his lead at the front from Eric de Veit in second place. Not sure who set the fastest lap, but I believe it must have been Holm on a 1:10.2. 3/10 ahead. He's actually 1.2 seconds ahead of Tveit at the moment, who is a further 1.1 seconds ahead of Rasmus Salomon third. He is followed by 1.1 seconds, funnily enough, from Danny Asbury in fourth and his teammate Janko Glavak in fifth. So high speed guys each have lost one position and they run in fourth and fifth on the road. So that's good for those. Still, none of them have had any big incidents and they're both in the top five, so they won't be too disappointed with that. Jesper Tolberg has had the poorest start of front guys down in sixth, with Strana, his championship rival, right up his tail in seventh position, and he's going to need to improve his pace in this race if he wants to have anything to do with Tolberg and stay up with the, I was about to call him an Airstream driver, but he's filling in for the Airstream seat in this race.
He's looking left, right, and centre to try and pass Fran, the action movie man,
and he's got it.
He's got him off the final corner, but Fran's not gonna let him have it. Probably going to be trying to launch an overtake back into turn one.
Yep, Fran all over the back of Sven de Vries, and knowing Fran, he will go for the overtaking manoeuvre, and he's going to try around the outside. An ambitious move, fantastic if he can pull it off, but he's not going to quite do it there. De Vries, fantastic defending, just squeezing him out to the outside, letting him know that De Vries has got the line, and he's not just going to let him go past without a fight for it. So great defensive driving there by Sven de Vries to hold on to 13th position and keep Fran, the action movie man, as Mike now is christened him, in 14th place behind him, with Rob Taplin in 15th. Hopefully going to be making a pit stop this time and can stick with the action maybe a bit longer.
Just up in front, Lewis Travis, again staring at the back of a small power car. This time it's Oscar Hardwick. He was very close and looking to make an overtake going through that previous section of corners, but Hardwick pulled out a little tiny gap. But if Travis stops getting the tail light everywhere.
Yep, I think he's just, as you said in the first race, he's sick of those smile power cars, Mike. But he's doing a good job.
Travis is actually a big fan of those liveries, so probably won't be too.
He won't be anymore.
Too mad at him, yeah. But Siggy's right behind him, and
Danny Asbury and Janko Glavak side by side teammates for fourth position. David Nannon, who I believe is watching, will be clenching something right now in fourth and fifth position as Asbury takes the position and, or should I say, holds on to the position ahead of Janko Glavak for fourth. Now they've got Jesper Tolberg right up the trumpet in sixth position for Airstream, followed by Eric Strana's Ice Cold Machine in seventh, and then a bit of a gap back to Oscar Hardwick in eighth, and Lewis Travis, who will just be seeing purple and orange for the rest of his life, in ninth.
I mean, as we saw in race one, even all the way down to the very back, there's battling. I mean, Mervold has fallen off the back maybe because of a pit stop or so, but Chris Williamson and Rory Martins have re-engaged their battle from race one. That's over 27th, but it's two battles of twos and threes and several people all throughout the rest of the field. So it's like 11th all the way down to 21st is all in one big train. There's a three-wide battle going on between Yunt, Oyala and Nilsson. Oyala actually had a disconnect in warm-up and he rejoined. He had to join at the back of the field due to already the grid being applied, so unfortunate for Oyala.
Oh no, because Asbury's actually, sorry to interrupt, he's flashed his lights to let past his teammate Glavak, which is a sensible thing to do, but it's allowed Tolberg to get up the inside, so maybe not very well executed. And I was about to say, kudos for these guys for racing, doing what Mercedes had done, but just to say that Asbury has succumbed the position to what he believes must be his quicker teammate at the moment, Janko Glavak, so I can't blame him for that. It's good of Asbury for that. And Strana and Tolberg, as you say, side by side, the two championship protagonists for sixth position. Strana's going to take that position. As Tolberg holds round on the outside. A move that can be done, and he gets the power down.
Actually, Strandy losing the position, I believe. They've been side by side for so long, but I think it was Tolberg who was behind Strandy to begin with. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it was Strandy behind Tolberg. Yeah. And
Hardwick, this has allowed Hardwick, of course, to get in on the act as well. And Hardwick, one of the drivers that we all thought was going to be a championship contender, but right at the start of the season, he showed so much pace at Fuji, and he's just been slightly unlucky with his results. He's had a few inconsistencies, and he's not quite been there, but he has, of course, unbelievable raw pace, and he's definitely going to be able to take the fight to the guys in front of him. But this is great to see the championship rivals fighting.
Freeze just passes Rabio, that's back for 12th. That's the Wout is moving up and the Frami moving down, but both of these guys, I think, will move forward because I mean they're catching Wiesenmuller.
Oh, Raviel has a bit of a peek down the inside of DeVries, gives him a little love tap to let him know he's there, but DeVries holds onto the car nicely and keeps that Waters automotive car facing the right direction ahead of Eunice Raviel in the Ferrari car sponsored by Goodyear, and that is for 12th position. So nice defending by 12th position, by the 12th position man Sven DeVries, and maintains that. Can he close into Robert Wiesenmuller in front of him? Because we've seen DeVries with pace earlier on. I think he was about 6th at one point in the first race. We know he's quick. As Wiesenmuller gets very close to that tyre wall on the exit of the chicane, Robert hasn't had a chance really to prove his pace so far as he started from the pit lane in race 1. So let's just see if he can hold on to that position or indeed start making up moves himself.
Yeah, indeed. I think Rob's kind of in the middle of nowhere at the moment, but Strani is currently the fastest person on track, we believe.
And battle for second, it's Salo right on the back of Eric Tveit as they cross the line to complete their 7th lap. Salo has a little peek down the inside but doesn't make it, and Tveit holds on to that 2nd place. Salo gets the power down, but he's got nowhere to go. The big Ford Falcon of Tveit placed beautifully to defend that position, and Salo can do nothing about it until he finds the next overtaking opportunity, which could come at the chicane. We saw him do it at the start of the lap. We know it's a possible move. So you've got this left-right chicane first. It's 3rd and 4th gear, and a feathering the throttle, a little dab of the brakes, flick it right as you see there. Get on the power, and this is the move. If Salo's close enough, it's possible to go around the outside, but he's not going to be close enough here, and he's not going to try it. He's going to try and get a cut back on Tveit, and it's not quite worked for him here. But this is also the other main overtaking manoeuvre. This run here, flat out round this right-hander, and you're going to be in the slipstream and dive down the inside into the hairpin. It's probably the move we've seen most often, apart from the last corner. Those are the two main spots for passing. Well, there's probably three. I'd say there's probably 3 main spots. Those 2 hairpins that you've just seen, and the one you're seeing now, and also the first proper corner, the 3rd gear right-hander at the start of Sector 1, which you're going to see quite shortly. But it is still Tveit from Salo in 2nd and 3rd.
This train, 2nd all the way down to 9th, with Siggy not far off in 10th, and just behind Siggy, his teammate De Vries. He's now attacking Wiesenmuller as you said he would a couple of laps ago. That's 11th and 12th, but back up to P2. They're very close together. Tveit stays in front this time, though.
Yep, so good defensive driving there by Tveit for another lap, and this
Wiesenmuller.
battle I can feel will rage on for many laps. And as I said earlier, Tveit doesn't quite have the pace, and Salo clearly has something. He's got something over the Scandinavian in the ice-cold car. And obviously Tveit knows how to defend well, but let's just hope he can keep it on 4 wheels for the 2nd race in a row, which might be a new record.
Oh, he's run wide there, though. He's going to get a bad exit. That's going to hold up Salo and Glavac and allow the rest of the train to close in just a little bit.
Yeah, but Salo's got a great run on him. Almost taps the back end, manages to keep out of that. Tveit goes defensive down the inside. Salo darts to the outside. Now Glavac's getting in the action. He's going to hit Salo slightly, who turns in very sharply on Glavac. Aggressive defensive there, move by Salo, but he desperately wanted to hold on the position. He's going to dive down the inside. That's a brilliant opportunistic move. Slight contact, but he parked his car in the right place, and fantastic from Salo. He just managed to hold on to the 4th position in the corner before, albeit a bit aggressively, and then a beautiful opportunistic dummy by Salo to dive back down the inside, and there's a massive contact. And that's going to take out Asbury, and it's going to take out Glavac. And Tolberg and Strana just get through that, but that is a massive shunt. I'm going to take a quick look at the replay. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to, but I think I am, so I'm going to have a quick look at what happened there. Tveit's right on the back of Salo. He dived down the inside. There was contact going into the right-hander. So Tveit, it looked a bit like Senna and Prost at Suzuka, but albeit less intentionally, I believe. Tveit smashes into Rasmus, sends him sideways, and also blasts the wall himself. Comes back across the track into Asbury, who had absolutely nowhere to go. Also into Glavac, but who managed to get through with no damage. And that is a massive shame for those guys.
Some of Hardwick gets really out of shape. He got rear-ended in the lap by Travis. There's probably nothing Travis could have done. He'd come through unsighted, so can't really blame these two, but they're going at it. Travis and Hardwick battling for 6th. But
yeah,
how Salo managed to get that back pointing the right way is beyond me, and how Strani managed to get through that without getting a shred of damage, in addition to any bumps and dents he has already. As Tolborn pits. That could have damaged him, but that incident has probably given Holm the win. He's have to do something really bad to mess that one up.
Yep, 8-second lead now for Adrian Holm over Rasmus Salo. Glavac's benefited hugely from that, although I'm not sure the team will be too happy, of course. Danny Asbury, very much the innocent party in that one, getting taken out by the 2 guys crashing in front of him.
That car is done.
Asbury's.
Danny's got to retire that one. It's not even turning
gone.
into turn 1. Yeah, he's out.
So disappointment then for high speed one half of high speed anyway, Danny Asbury. The other half moved up to third position, benefiting from the 2 crashes, or the 1 crash, I should say.
Into the pits.
And Tvite's
he's going to
limping
finish
back.
this race as best he can, but several people involved
I just
in that incident.
I just said before that, you know, why can't Tvite maybe make a new record by finishing 2 races in a row on 4 wheels? And you know, he might still finish on 4 wheels, but definitely not finish as strongly as he would have hoped.
Yeah.
Put a bit of a cursing in there. I'm sorry.
Maybe the people that have benefited from this are the guys like Allington and Navarro, Nilsson, Yunt, Taplin, and Lopez, who are now battling for 11th. Obviously, now more of these guys are going to be scoring points. I mean, Tolborg has pitted early, so we, you know, if things aren't, you know, if Jesper's tires are wearing a little bit more, we could see him come back into the pits again. Hopefully not, but
yeah, it was a strange call.
Early.
It was a strange call because he came in on lap 10 out of 32. Now you want to be stretching.
On these things are pretty easily possible, but as you saw from Taplin, they drop off. They drop off majorly as one of the optimums.
Nilsson.
Somewhere outside is Nilsson. He's off and he is out.
Yep, so that's going to help more of these drivers, like such as Bradley Vanny, and he's now moved up to 17th. Allington up to 15th into the points. So yep, Tvite's still in the pit. I mean, I'm not quite sure what Tolberg was doing. I mean, he might have had damage, or he might just be pitting early to get out of all the chaos, which I wouldn't blame him for. But you know, lap 10 out of 32 means he's going to have to run, as you say, 22 laps on those tyres, which, although it's doable easily, it's going to cost him in the latter part of the race. He's going to have very worn tyres, and it's an interesting one that he didn't just mirror what Strana was doing, because he obviously had more pace than Eric at this event. So all he needs to do really is just mirror Strana's strategy in terms of the championship. But maybe Jesper feels he can get a better result by peeling in very, very early. So I think it was probably because of the traffic.
As there's the lead, or the battle for seconds passing Ockerklint, I believe that was because Tolborg, obviously not his fault, but he hit Glavak really hard in the rear after Glavak hit the spinning to bike, because obviously he had nowhere to go. And Strani goes up to the inside of Glavak, but Glavak, you can see his car is damaged. He's trying to hold on around the outside, which he does very well, but Tolborg's almost certainly going to be damaged, because look at the back of Glavak's
look at the back
car. That was all caused by the front end of Tolborg, so...
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You look at the back of Glavak and you realise how hard a hit it actually was from Tolberg, and that really does answer your question for you. But if he's repairing the damage, he was of course going to lose quite a bit of time in the pit lane, so a bit of a difficult one for the championship leader. But this is going to help Strana, and I mean, nothing against Jesper Tolberg in any way, but it's going to be good for the championship, because it means these two guys can, you know, be as close as possible if Strana does indeed beat Jesper in this race.
I think Strani's going to actually pull out the lead to more than the 6 points it was going into this race, and obviously it's going to interject Holm even closer to the championship battle, and you know, make him seem like less of a long shot.
But I mean, you say that. I mean, Jesper's only 32 seconds off the lead, and the leader, Adrian, is 10 seconds ahead of Rasmus. As Travis, as you say, pulls into the pits in 8th position. But yeah, Jesper's 32 seconds off the leader, but then of course there's a 10-second gap between first and second, so he's only 22 seconds off second place. So well, that's definitely not out of this.
Plus Allington, Navarro, Taplin Pitts, Yunt, Lopez, Rabio, Wiesenmuller, De Vries, Siggy, Hardwick, Glavak, Strani, and Sattler off of second place. And while he may get some of these guys in the pits, I mean, certainly Sattler, Strani, Glavak, and Hardwick, and as well as Siggy and De Vries, probably they're going to come out around where he is. So.
Yeah, well, Travis comes out the pits and he is behind Jesper. He's down in 15th, and Jesper Tolberg, just to say that, moves past Allington up into 13th place. So it's not all done for him yet. Let's just wait and see what he can do from there. Travis rejoins, as I said, in 15th position, just ahead of Bradley Vanian for YTF1. But Adrian Holm streaking away at the front, and it is going to continue this form. I mean, I don't want to put the curse on him quite yet. He's got a 10-second lead. He's one of the quickest guys out there. He's definitely one of the most consistent. He's won the last 2 races on the trot, and history tells us that the winner of the first race wins the second. So, I mean, you'd have to know something that we didn't to put money against Adrian Holm winning this one. Rasmus Salo in second, 10 seconds off, with Strana in third. This is a good battle going on. As someone goes into pits there, I believe it's Hardwick for Smile Power.
Ivan Navarro defending from Jesper Tolborg like his life depends on it. Because I mean, if Ivan's on a no stop, which I doubt he will be, considering he was on a 1-stop for the last race, or at least planned 1-stop, defending from Tolborg, then that's actually for position. But Strana right on the back of Salo. Yeah,
and this battle will rage on for a long time. Well, I say a long time, until they go into the pits. And I think if they pit at the same time, it's going to be very interesting to see if Strana gets the jump on him.
Behind Tolborg by quite a way.
Yep, and I mean, Tolberg, he's going to be making up these positions, and he's definitely not out of getting a really good result in this one. Tvite's actually left the game now, so he has finally retired. So he may have finished on 4 wheels, but those 4 wheels weren't actually rolling when he finished. Strana is down the inside of Salo for second place, and he's going to make the move stick. Great move from the Ice Club man. Salo gave him absolutely tons of space, but maybe you can't blame him if they're about to pull into the pits anyway, which they are, because Salo, he's not going to, he's going to lose more from trying to defend it rashly than just letting him go and go straight into the pits to try and jump him back.
The two Waters, they've engineered a swap, so De Vries is now in front of Siggy. Behind him is the lapdog of Clint, as the Waters car is going to move up to second and third. And hopefully they don't pit on the same lap, because these guys are having a good run. It'll probably be Siggy's race that gets spoiled, because he's going to have to queue behind De Vries if that does come into it. But Salo's hit the pace car, the safety car.
Oh dear.
He turned into American for a second there,
but this is key, because where's Strana's come out behind Tolberg, Luke?
He's going to come out behind Hardwick as well, because Navarro's going to pass Strani here, and Hardwick's going to be carrying a lot of overspeed. Looked inside, no, he's going to back out of it actually. Hardwick stays behind Strani.
Yeah, so it has in fact worked for Tolberg, and he's up to 7.
He is, however, stuck behind Fran, the action movie man, and David Yunt, both of who won't give him any inch more than he needs.
Yep.
As these two are battling between themselves for 5th place currently, as Yunt taps Lopez. Lopez runs wide. There's contact. Lopez on the grass. Yunt goes through, but at the aid of a bit of contact. Now they're impeding Tolborg as well. Bouncing over the curbs. Lopez is going to try. He's going to be back on the attack, so he's probably going to attack Tolborg to try and get through him to get to Yunt. But that's going to be exciting for these guys for the next couple of laps, and probably nail-biting for Tolborg. He said, please don't hit me, as in front Rabio pits, as does Siggy.
Yeah, and they all come into the pits there. Yunt, Lopez, all of them are in.
And
that
Navarro
unleashes Jesper into 5th position. He's now got an empty bit of track. He's got a gap to Kevin Siggy. No, Siggy's in the pits as well. Rabio's in the pits. De Vries is still out, and Holm is still out.
Rabio almost had to queue behind Tim Stroud there.
And Strana is under pressure from Hardwick, but Hardwick pulls out of that one very early on, knowing that he's not going to make the move, so sensible driving there from Hardwick. He'll wait for another opportunity, but Strana holds on to 4th. Jesper, it has worked in the end for him. He's gone up to 3rd position. All those cars in front of him just peeled away into the pits. But of course he is going to have worn tyres.
Matthew Allington in 6th, doing a good job. He hasn't pitted yet, but 3 is Travis. Allington running up quite high, he's going to be pleased with that, if it is out of sequence.
If he can,
I don't think Wiesenmuller has been into the pits yet, has he?
I'm just looking at his lap times. He has been in, yes.
Yes, he has. Okay, then that's pit stop from Wiesenmuller. Then he's not that much distance from Rabio as Tim Stroud out of the race. But AJ Wang, not sure if he's pitted or not, but he's currently 15th behind his teammate Fran Lopez. So currently a double score for experience right now.
Yeah, he hasn't pitted yet, has JJ Wang, but he's got Navarro a second and a half behind him, and Navarro has pitted, so
De Vries is in.
It's going to be difficult, but if there's a couple of retirements, then he'll be fine. As De Vries leaves the pit lane behind Lewis Travis, he's going to probably come out behind. It's going to be very close to his teammate Kevin Siggy, but he's going to jump him. It's going to be close into the right-hander, but De Vries will have that position as Glavak looks down the inside of Siggy for 7th position, and they resume order. So it's De Vries from Siggy from Glavak. So it worked very well for De Vries, up to 6th position after being well down earlier on in the race. But the attrition rate of this one's been astonishing, Mike. We've seen, Tim Straub, Rasmus Salo, Anders Nielsen, Danny Asbury, Eric Tveit, Tommy Oyala, Tobias Olsen, Gary Lennon, Omarius Murvold, Lazarus, Kyle Lugo, Harley Hamnet. All of these guys retirements from this race. So it's been a high attrition rate and a bit of a crazy race. But there's only now going to be 5 drivers that race that don't score points.
Well, as it stands right now, yeah, but like obviously with the street track, it can change at any time, and De Vries, Siggy, Glavak, Wiesenmuller are all very close together, so one wrong move by any of them, that could be 2 or 3 of them in the walls. Glavak,
nice move.
That's not a wrong move as he goes past Kevin Siggy. But hopefully De Vries will be looking to scamper away into the distance while Siggy tries to get that 7th place back.
Yeah, it's a great move there from Glavak.
Waters having their best run of the season so far, both cars in the top 8. So good job for them.
Yeah, and it's gone slightly downhill, it has to be said, for Glavak and high-speed racing, because we started 3rd and 4th in the grid. As Glavak gets sideways, he's going to lose another position to Kevin Siggy. Tries to hold on the inside, he's almost over, and now Wiesenmuller's all over the back of him, so it's going from bad to worse. For Glavak and high-speed team, he's got damage. They did start off in 3rd and 4th, they then dropped to 4th and 5th, Asbury got innocently involved in the incident between Tveit and Salo. Glavak also got involved in that, picked up damage. Asbury is out, and Glavak, I was going to say Glanko, is in 8th position, and he's now under pressure from Robert Wiesenmuller, so disappointing for David Nannon's outfit.
Obviously, the damage Glavak is suffering, it's not going to be making his life any easier, and when he's stuck behind Kevin Siggy, who is no slouch, but maybe not as quick as Glavak, and then he has someone as aggressive as Wiesenmuller right behind, so Wiesenmuller's going to take the first opportunity he can to pass the high-speed racing driver.
So, lap 19 out of 32 then. Everyone who's making a one-stopper will have been in the pits, I'm pretty sure of it by now. So, I'm going to have a quick... I don't think anyone's on a no-stopper apart from possibly JJ Wang, but no, he has come into the pits now. So, most people are... So, it seems like all the pit stops are out of the way, and we've got Holm, just to reiterate the order to keep everyone updated, we've got Holm leading for Sharkskin's factory team, with Jesper Tolberg in second, and the only Airstream car in that early pit stop is working so far. But he's got this championship rival right in his back, and Tolberg's going to have 6 lap, or 5 or 6 lap at least, older tyres towards the end of the race. But Jesper is good in his tyres, he's also good at defending, and he keeps a cool head. So he's still got a chance of getting, a really high position, but it's yet to be seen whether he can hold off from the charging Strana behind him, who's found a bit of pace in this race. Oscar Hardwick is 4th for Smile Power Racing, with Lewis Travis in 5th position. For Walk, Sven de Vries and Kevin Siggy for Waters running 6th and 7th, and as you mentioned, a great race for them, those guys so far. They will be delighted with that. Massive congratulations if they can keep those cars in a similar position to what they are now. Janko Glavak for high speed in 8th, keeping Siggy under pressure. And speaking of pressure, Robert Wiesenmuller in 9th, all over the back of Glavak, and he'll be looking for his first top 10 of the event, having started from the pit lane in the last one. Eunice Ravio rounds out the top 10 on his return to Sim Racing's picture. Rob Taplin is in 11th for Walk Racing, having this time been into the pits.
Sorry to interrupt you, John, but the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, they've called the battle for 19th and 20th. It's going to be like a Sandown situation with a battle within a battle, but fortunately
Chris Williamson just about gets out of the way.
And Williamson got well out of the way early, and good for him, and Martins may have caused some shot value as Martins is off, actually.
Oh dear. But this battle resumes for 2nd place. Strana's all over the back of Tolberg, so Martins has gone off. Meanwhile, Strana's looking around, but he's not going to make a move right outside into chicane. Tolberg is wise to that move. He's going to look for the run down to the hairpin, but Tolberg's got a good exit. Gets a bit sideways. I don't think Strana's going to be close enough at this moment, and he's not going to make a move down into the hairpin. So just very quickly to run through the rest of the order as quick as possible. David Yunt in 12th position, and Fran Lopez 13th. Ivan Navarro's running 14th in Allington, rounds out the points ahead of teammate Vanian with Auckland 17th, JJ Wang 18th, Chris Williamson 19th, and Rui Martins, who's just gone off, rounding out the driver still on the track at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are doing a good job. I know Mara Motorsport, they're still on 0 when it comes to points, as is Cosmo, so if these guys keep going and maybe a couple more DNFs, we could see those teams move onto the scoreboard properly, as Strani attacking Tolborg again, right underneath the rear wing. These Ford Falcons, which you can tell just for John's reference, the rear wings are different between the Falcons and the Commodores. Commodores are fastened in the middle, Falcons are fastened at either end. So now when a car loses its front end, you can still know which it is. But
yeah, no, I thought I was okay in that, but apparently I missed one of them. So obviously I need to look closer at the rear wings, but I'll use a different excuse.
Yeah, a new page from the commentator's book of excuses.
Yeah, I mean, it's been my first commentary in a few months, Mike. Of course, I'm going to be a bit rusty. But Tolberg, under loads of pressure from Eric Strana, looking into the left-hand hairpin now, and Strana applies the brakes, and he's not going to make a move there as Adrian Holm in the lead sprints away with another fastest lap. But Strana all over the back of championship rival Jesper Tolberg, and it's great to see, these guys, there's, 33 starters, or 31 starters in the second race. And even then, with 31 cars in the field, the two championship leaders are still on track together as Strana makes the move on Tolberg, and he slots down the inside Tolberg very clean, then Strana says thank you very much, flashes Jesper Tolberg, just thanking him for being so clean and giving him room, and Jesper lets Strana going, knowing that as long as he stays right behind him in this race, there's no point trying to fight him, because he's going to wear his tyres even more than they will be anyway, and he might as well just let him go, and damage limitation for Tolberg, trying to see how close he can stay behind Strana and maintain his championship lead heading into the final 2 rounds at Oran Park and Mount Panorama.
I almost said the same thing with about Jesper and Oscar, because Oscar Hardwick now takes Strani's place right under the rear wing of Tolborg, Hardwick is, if anything, much more aggressive than Strani is, and he's going to go through the smaller gap than maybe Strani would go for as they come up to lap JJ Wang. So
Yeah, but
maybe
Wang's he's
Oscar
gonna
can
get out
use
the way.
that
He
to his
doesn't get out the way
advantage.
quite yet. It could end up costing Strana if he's not careful. And JJ Wang looks in his rearview mirror, gets a bit of a fright when he's going to see 3 leaders up behind him. So he should be getting in the out of the way, and he does do there. So that's good to see him getting out of the way, letting these guys battle on. And it's going to be Strana, the right-hand king. Hardwick's going to have a look at Tolberg. Tolberg on worn tyres,
Tolberg's
of
outbraked
course.
himself.
And he's outbraked himself, and Hardwick's going to look down the inside. Tolberg holds off for the moment, but this could only last for one corner. Hardwick using his aggressive nature to try and pass, but he's not going to use it there. He slots back in behind Tolberg, so sensible driving from Oscar to not force the issue with Jesper. He knows he's going to have worn tyres. He's just going to wait for his best moment and then try and close into Strana if he can get past Tolberg.
Yeah, definitely. As
Oh, he
Hardwick
has
now
another look there. Nah, it's not going to work there.
Tolberg's going to have a worse exit, so if Hardwick can get the run. But
And he does look like he's got it.
I got the tail out a little bit. I think that will have lost him a lot of momentum, and he doesn't even try and attack Tolberg.
Yeah, and Strana actually not managing to pull away quite as much as I was expecting. So Tolberg's obviously still holding up a decent pace. I mean, I'm just going to have a quick look at his lap times. He's still setting low to mid 111s at the moment, so it's not too bad. But you know, look at Strana's, he's been doing high 110s, and he's now just jumped into the 11s. So maybe a couple of tenths difference between those guys. But Oscar Hardwick, of course, will be on fresher tyres than Tolberg, and he has just as good pace as Strana at this event, so he's going to still be able to close in on him. Tolberg doing his best to keep up with his championship rival, but you can just see that icicle car slipping away on that slightly fresher rubber, and it's going to be frustrating Jesper a lot. But it was his decision to come in early to either fix the damage or just take, mix up the strategy a bit, and it's worked so far. As long as he can keep it in the top 5, he won't be too disappointed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as long as I'm sure he'll be happy. Comes out here having just closed the lead to Strani as Tolberg gets very sideways. If the lead less than 6 points in Strani's favour, I think Tolberg will have called this a good event for him championship-wise and just chipping away at the lead to hopefully get on a big assault later. But if he comes out in front of Strani anyway, that's going to be great because they have raced each other a couple of times at Oran Park, and as far as I'm aware, Jesper Tolberg has come out on top every single time. But
yep, and
every
I think
streak must come to an end at some point, so...
Yeah, definitely. I do think this event's going to bring Adrian Holm slightly more into the frame, because, I mean, obviously he's got 12.5 second lead, he's under no pressure whatsoever, he's just going to cruise to the end and finish his race, hopefully, depending on, as long as his connection holds up, he doesn't make any stupid mistakes, which, knowing Adrian, he almost definitely won't do, as Vanian smashes the wall behind him. But yeah, Adrian's going to be brought right kind of back into the frame of this championship. Obviously, he's missed quite a few events, so he wasn't been expecting to be fighting for the season, but obviously Strana's missed an event, Tolberg's missed an event. Nobody right at the front has managed to compete in every single event so far, so Adrian's not going to be too far behind. I'm just going to have a quick look at the standings going into the event.
47 points behind going into the event. 47 points behind Tolberg going into the event.
It's a big gap,
53
but
behind Strani, and he's going to be on the receiving end of 50 points should he keep going. It's 25 for both race wins, and obviously Strani having a bit of a worse race too is going to hold him back a touch.
Yeah, definitely. So he's going to be there or thereabouts, shall we say? Yeah. I mean, he's still not going to be considered a proper contender unless he, manages to take another double win at Oran Park, or the other guys have a problem. But he's definitely putting himself in with a chance, as Adrian, running away at the front. And if he continues this form into the next few races, he's going to be forced to be reckoned with, it must be said, in the Sharkskins car.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, very good in these V8s.
Oh, Siggy and Glavak for 7th and 8th position, lapping JJ Wang. Wang getting in the way once again of Kevin Siggy, and he's managing to get out of his way as he also smashes the wall just behind those guys, making a bit of a mess of that one is JJ, but keeps it on track, and he should continue on as I believe that was Robert Bismiller also lapping in for 9th. We've got to change position, and it's Hardwick. He's got past Jesper Tolberg. I'm just going to take a quick look to see what happened there, but Hardwick, I believe, managed to get... He actually went to go down the inside into the chicane?
I think if anything, Tolberg saw that Hardwick had the line and just didn't fight for it, because obviously Tolberg has more to go. And further back, that's a position change. Glavak's past Siggy in the same corner.
Yep, so he's trying to make amends.
Spent ages behind Siggy, so maybe that was a mistake on Siggy's part, but either way, Glavak's passed now. And has 5 laps or so to hunt down De Vries.
Yeah,
I don't think
Glavak
you'll
is
get
lapping in the low 11s, and De Vries, if I just find him on my thing, is lapping in the always lapping in the high 10s, low 11s. So De Vries is running even quicker at the moment, as it stands, than Janko Glavak in 7th position. So he should be okay to hold on to that one. Just seeing how it's going. Oscar's not managed to pull a big gap from Jesper yet, but that's absolutely no surprise considering he's only been ahead for half a lap. Travis is having a lonely race in 5th, De Vries 6th, and then you've got this battle between Glavak, Siggy, and Wiesenmüller, who's been quietly sneaking up on them in 9th position, and he's doing a great job there for THR. Yunus Ravio all alone in 10th with Rob Tapple in 11th, Yunt 12th, Fran Lopez is in 13th with Ivan Navarro. For Sharkskins in the points in 14th, then you still have the YTF1 boys of Matthew Ellington and Bradley Vanian. Both, I mean, especially Bradley, will just be hoping desperately that one more car in front of him has an issue, and it's very likely on a street circuit that one car is going to have, a fault or a disconnection. So that would mean both of those guys finishing the points, which would be great for the team. And then you've got Auckland 17th with JJ Wang 18th, Williamson 19th, and Martin still running in 20th. So it's good to see he's still pounding away, even though he's a lap and a half down.
Just about to lose that to Van Navarro, who is going to be quite pleased with this 14th, because I believe this will then put him back onto positive points, because obviously Van got a penalty earlier on in the season.
It's never a good feeling to be on negative points.
Yep,
as you'll know, Mike.
Yeah. I'm familiar with being on negative points, but Van, I knew he was saying that his goal is to get back onto positive points. If he gets this result, I believe that does put him back in the positives, so that's good for him and obviously for the team.
Because, of course, as it stands at the moment, Ivan is actually technically behind Mike in the championship, of course, because Mike's not raced yet, so he's on 0 points, and Ivan's on negative. So he'll manage to get himself ahead of everybody in the world that isn't racing in the series, which is probably going to be quite a good thing when you are racing in the series.
Some people are racing in the series. But,
yes, that as well. But Adrian Holmes still pounds round and sets good lap times. He's just done 3 1:10.7s in a row, so consistency is there. He's done a 1:10.001 on lap 22, so and that's actually 5 laps after his pit stop as well. So on slightly worn tyres, he's done a great lap. So he's just driving brilliantly at the moment. Is Adrian Holmes.
Wiesenmüller was right underneath the rear wing of Siggy and then went completely sideways through the last couple of right-handers, but Wiesenmüller definitely looking faster than Siggy at the moment and running out of time to make a move, so I see something lunge or so soon from Rob if he's going to do one.
Yep, and he's not obviously he is battling with Siggy, but he's not quite close enough at the moment to make a move. He's got 3 laps. I'm sure he'll be able to close that very small gap and maybe think about making a move in hairpin. Siggy locks up, he's run a bit wide, and Robert, that gap has gone to nothing in the space of a corner. Robert made slight contact with Siggy as he Siggy missed his braking point slightly, but Robert wasn't able to capitalise on that one, and they maintained their positions in 8th and 9th. That's the Waters and THR car, respectively, of Kevin Siggy and Robert Wiesenmüller. So they're heading now through Sector 2 chicane, the first chicane in Sector 2 now, into the second one, which is a much slower left-right, where we haven't actually seen any rolls yet. I'm amazed. Even Tveit managed to keep it on 4 wheels through that corner and missed that massive big curve on the inside, and then of course you get the power down nicely. Flat out right-handers, Wiesenmüller gets very close to the wall and smashes the wall on the outside, but it shouldn't affect him too much. Heading now into the hairpin, one of the main overtaking zones, and Wiesenmüller isn't close enough to make a move on Siggy, but he's going to have the left-hand hairpin just here. But once again, I don't think he's going to be close enough, and he's not, and he's going to have to wait till the next lap to try again to make a move.
Just up in front of these guys as they come onto the second to last lap. Travis has called Tolborg, and De Vries has called Travis. Now, I think that Jesper should be able to hold on to this position for another 2 laps, but Travis and De Vries will obviously be trying to attack both Jesper and each other to try and get that 4th or 5th place.
Oh, Jesper gets very sideways. But yeah, I mean, De Vries, I saw, when we saw earlier, he was doing good lap times, pulling away from Glavak, Siggy and Wiesenmüller, but I didn't actually, he didn't even register that he might actually be closing in the guys in front of him. I mean, he's closing in on Travis. Travis is closing in, more than closing in. He's making a move on Jesper Tolberg. He's going to try around the outside of the chicane. It's good to see drivers trying that move. Didn't pay off from that time. Jesper once again had it covered, but he's going to have a brilliant run.
Further back in 8th,
yep.
Wiesenmüller
has taken Siggy around the chicane, but up in the battle for 4th position, Travis backs out of that one. Tolberg's going to run wide, gets sideways, gets very sideways on the worn tyres. Not only Travis, it's going to be the Waters car that goes through as well if he's not careful. Travis does take the position, De Vries on the outside. Tolberg looks to the inside, but De Vries is going to have much better traction out the corner if he can get the power down smoothly, and he does do it. and now Tolberg drops to 6th position. So this means Strana finishing 2nd and Tolberg 6th. It's going to be pretty much back to where we started at the start of this event, Mike.
Yeah, almost. I think that Tolberg will still be maybe a point or two ahead, but he doesn't look like he's in danger of losing any more places unless he loses his car. But Adrian Holm, quiet race at the front, all on his own. 14 seconds almost clear of Eric Strani and 17 clear of Hardwick. He's going around to lap Allington, who is the final point scorer at the moment as Allington moves out the way. And Holm runs up to the final corner to win the second race of the day here at Townsville.
No, he hasn't got around the final corner quite yet, so let's just not say that until he does. Safely round, and we can breathe now. Adrian, of course, ran away from the start of the race. He almost spins it on the exit, just having a bit of fun, revving up the tyres. But it's going to be Adrian Holm takes the second win of this event, his third win on the trot in the SRP Top Step V8 Championship, round 5 from Townsville. And that's a delightful race from Adrian. Must apologise to him for not giving him very much coverage on the race, but you can understand why, being 15 or so seconds clear of the rest of the field, and he was exactly 15.0 seconds ahead of our second place finisher, Eric Strana. He led the championship going in. He thought he was disappointed after race 1, I'm sure, of probably losing the lead, but it might just have regained it. We'll have to, I'm not quite, I don't know the point system well enough to be able to work it out very quickly in my head, but Hardwick finishes 3rd. Travis 4th for Walk Racing with Friend of Breeze picking up 5th. Jesper Tolberg does finish in 6th position in the end, so he'd be slightly disappointed, but he managed to make something out of a damaged car and a bit of a ruined race by that incident early on. Glavak finishes 7th as everyone does donuts down at turn 2, and Glavak smashes into the wall, taking out debris with him. Wiesenmüller finished in 8th position and Kevin Siggy 9th. Ravio rounds out the top 10 for Frami. Rob Taplin did manage to finish a much better 11th position, the man who was 4th in the championship heading into this round. David Yunt finishes 12th for THR with Fran Lopez, or Fran the action movie man, I probably did that in the wrong order, in 13th. Ivan Navarro in the second Sharkskins car, not quite as high up as his teammate, but as Mike said, it should hopefully put him on the positive points, which will be great for him. Matthew Allington does round out the points finishers for YTF1, and just missing out in the points is Bradley Vanian after his recent return to sim racing, so it's good to see him getting a decent 16th position ahead of Jonathan Ockercliffe, of course, Optimum Sim Racing, which was a team that Bradley owned and ran for many years, with Chris Williamson finishing in 19th, and missed out, JJ Wang for Experienced GP finishing an eventful 18th. Rui Martins, despite being off a few times, great to see him actually finishing the race in 20th, and then we had retirements were Tim Straub, Rasmus Salo, Anders Nielsen, Danny Asbury, and Tveit in that massive crash that involved Salo and Tveit and Asbury got caught out in it.
As well.
And Glavak, of course, involved in Tolberg. Oyala also retired from the race along with Tobias Olsen, Gary Lennon and Mervold for Save the Ring, and in the Zurich car of Blue with a big crash early on, and Harley Hamnet with a really disappointing race 2 after some stunning pace in quali 1 and a great race 1, so I'm sure he won't be too disappointed with his event. But that rounds out your field of drivers for this race, but a fantastic event all round, Mike.
Indeed.
Apart from the crashes at the start of the race,
yeah.
No, apart from the restarts. But everything else.
Server issues and a few red flags, but got past that. Had a very intense race 1 and a race 2 that Holm really earned that win. I'd say aided a lot by that crash, but he'd broken away like 4 or 5 seconds before that crash even happened. So
yep,
miles away.
I'm going to ask. Well, I mean, it's a bit of a pointless question. I mean, I could ask you who your driver of the day was, but there's only one answer that anyone could give. But I'm going to ask you a question that is: who is your driver of the day that doesn't drive for Sharkskins or have a name that begins in A?
I will say Janko Glavak. He really, really impressed me with how quick he was. He was looking quick all through practice. Then to go and put it on the second row of the grid on both qualifying sessions, that can't be sniffed at.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I'd probably say Lewis Travis is going to be delighted with his. I believe a 4th and a 5th in the opposite order. No, 5th in the first race and 4th in the second race, I believe, for Lewis Travis. So I'd probably say he's definitely in with a shout. But no one's gonna really touch Adrian Holm when it comes to the results, because he's just absolutely dominated this weekend. And we are going to speak to the now 3 times winner in the series. So Adrian. Fantastic races out there. I mean, I mean, we don't really have to ask you much because he just drove away from the field. But I mean, talking about the first race, how was that one for you? Because that was a bit closer.
Yeah, that was a very tough race for me. I I didn't get much practice in just before qualifying, so I did some changes in qualifying, and it worked great there. So I, try to make it into a race car as well, but that was not a good decision. I was struggling a lot on corner exit. I didn't have the traction simply, and just try to make it to the pit stops to try and tune her up a bit, and yeah, worked pretty good as I was able to keep Jesper behind me for the second stint, because that was not a racing winning car in the first stint.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we saw in the first one you were struggling slightly when you got out front in terms of the guys behind you were managing to keep up with you, but nice result in that race, obviously, to win. And then race two, I mean, what can you really tell us about race two? Because obviously you walked away, but was it ever in doubt?
Well, you never know really. If you have a bad back mark or anything, anything can happen really. If you have some kind of technical issue, but no, it was a fairly straightforward race. Made a good start, and just got my head down and got on with it in the first stint to try and pull a gap as quick as possible.
Now, I'm going to ask you the question in regards to the championship. You've now got 3 wins on the trot. Is it still possible?
Ooh, it will be tough for sure. They have a pretty big leap on me at this point, but if they have a bad luck, which I don't think they will have, and I don't wish they have bad luck either. I want to have a fair and square race to the end, but maybe we're in for a shot if we keep up the good job at the moment.
Well, that's great to hear, and awesome job today, Adrian. That's 3 wins in a row, 2 today, and a clean sweep of race wins. So well done to you. And I believe Mike is now going to speak to Eric Strana.
Yeah, Eric Strani. First question: were you holding your breath a lot going through turn 1 and 2 on? I forget which lap it was. I think lap 9, with that big crash happening in front of you. Could you give us your view on that?
I saw my teammate in the middle of the track. That's all I saw. Running into the back of Jesper. So yes, quite a lot.
Okay. Obviously, good job on the second place. Race 1, and in fact both qualifying sessions, you seem to be a bit further down than normal. Any particular reason?
Yes, me being stupid. I was running tire pressures which were about 30 kilopascals higher than they should have been, so it was kind of slippery. And I didn't notice until warm-up for the second race.
Okay. So I guess that's the change that seems to inject you with some pace then.
Yes.
Alright, good stuff. We think you may have lost the championship lead. You gonna try and get it back at Oran Park?
Nah, I'm gonna give up at this point. So, yeah, of course I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna, yeah. Yes, I like Oran Park, so this would be good.
Alright, good stuff. I believe John now has Oscar Hardwick.
Yeah, just before I speak to Oscar, Adrian he missed out, so he was wanting to say something else, but he missed out, so I'll just let him speak there, Adrian.
Oh yeah, shout out to all the organizers for this one. It was obviously a difficult moment there in between races, but I think they sorted it very well. And also shout out to THR group. It was a great work for this one, guys.
Yep. Well, that's appreciated by everyone, and thanks for that, Adrian. But now, of course, we are going to speak to Oscar Hardwick, who, Oscar, you didn't quite have the pace on your teammate for this one for the first time this season, but even so, still managed a couple of decent results. So just talk us through your event.
Yeah, well, I've not had pace on my teammate most of the rounds I've done. I'd say probably Fuji and maybe at Ruapuna I had the pace on Harley, but after that he's definitely had the pace on me. I mean, he's been putting in a lot more practice and work, and again, I seem to find something in that second qualifying session. I wasn't completely sure where from, but fairly grateful to be starting where I was. And yeah, there are the issues with the starts, but I'll gloss over it. Once everything got going properly, there weren't any real issues. Race 1, I had to stack behind Harley. That was my own fault. I just didn't see him go into the pit lane, so lost myself a lot of time. I really should have been 6th in that race, not 9th, but I'll gloss over that one. And then second race, don't know what happened in front. Some large incident. Mr. Travis behind me didn't slow down for at all and took my rear splitter off, so I had absolutely no rear tyres for the rest of the race, but held it together. Jesper had more tyre troubles than me, and the third position's a shock, but a lovely one at that.
And that basically sums up the whole event. I mean, obviously going forward, do you think the win's there this season? Can you feel it? Do you think you'll be able to get that win?
Not at all. like the THR guys have got setup repositories from seasons and seasons of using this very similar mod. The guys finishing in front of me at the moment have more experience in the cars, and you know, I could sit down and do hundreds of laps of practice for each event and still not be on par in terms of the setup and everything else. So it's unlikely, and it's unlikely that I'll be putting that practice into each event. I've sort of been doing about 40 laps prior to the practice and qualifying of each one, learning as I go, and it's been working all right. So second podium, and probably due time that I started getting them consistently, and fairly happy with it. Hopefully it should move Smile forward again.
Well, it's great to hear your motivation and ambition going forward. But no, nice result today then, Oscar, and thanks for that. And Mike is now hopefully going to speak to our administrator, Robert Wiesenmuller.
Yeah, Rob, so you start from the pit lane in race 1. Was that just to avoid any impending carnage, or was that from a bit of a distraction from the grid slot issue?
That was definitely not intentional. What I did was that I was flicking through the field to find the car that was still moving while everyone was standing still. That delayed the whole starting process. And then I was just just stupid and lifted off the clutch and stalled, and I couldn't find any ignition or starter buttons and couldn't get the car going again. And I had to start from the pit lane, which cost me half a lap, basically. Nothing I can do about it. It was still a fun race.
Alright, and I saw you in race 2, seemed to have a bit of a battle there with Kevin Siggy and Fran Lopez amongst other people. Was that all fun? And
Yeah, I managed to stay ahead of Fran Lopez for the race, but I had a good battle with Kevin Siggy. Shout out to him. Also battled with him in the first race. Yeah, I had to let the Freeze and Glavak go because they were just quicker than me, and then I got in past Siggy in the end because I had better tire wear, and I think I got 8th place. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that.
did you, as I was going to say, did you see the crash at all between Salo, Tveit, and just about everybody else in that little group?
I only saw Tveit's car, which was in the middle of the road, and I could barely avoid it. And then later on I saw Danny with damage, so I think that was from the same incident.
Yeah, it was. There was a pretty big crash involving Salo, Tveit, Asbury, Glavak, Oscar Hardwick, Lewis Travis, etc.
Everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, luckily I was not in that, I guess. I didn't have big damage, and that's pretty good on the street circuit.
He was way behind.
Just something I want to say. Sorry to all participants for the delay we had for the start of the races. It's a small issue with the track, and I think I'm the one to blame because I edited the grid slots. I was surprised that it's happened, but yeah, I'm sorry for that. And I think we got the races going in the end, so hopefully everyone enjoyed it.
Yep. No, I know certainly myself and John enjoyed it, calling the action. So hopefully we'll see you at the next round, either
Yep.
on track or in the commentary box.
Thanks a lot.
I believe John now has Ivan Navarro.
Yeah, I'm going to speak to Adrian's teammate for this event, Ivan Navarro, in the Sharkskins car. And now, Ivan, you've got that 14th position in the race 2. You're off the 0 points. I mean, obviously you got off the negative points in the last round, and now you're onto more than 0. So how's that feeling? Speechless.
Hey, I'm going to interrupt because
Like Ivan's suffering from a bit of lag
Yeah,
at the moment.
I think that's what it is. But
It's safe to assume he's
so-
very happy.
yeah, didn't really get much chance to speak to him there. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could say he was speechless, but that was mainly because of the internet. But unfortunately, we don't seem to have Ivan, so that is going to round up our interviews rather abruptly. And there he goes, typing out of the server. So, yeah, Mike, fantastic event today. Obviously, we had quite a few delays, which just added to the drama and anticipation. But all in all, brilliant job from Adrian, and a brilliant race all round.
Yeah, indeed. Can home carry his form over to the next couple of races and properly put himself in the championship hunt for Bathurst? I guess we're going to have to wait 2 weeks to find out.
Yeah, a 3-way title scrap is exactly what we want to see coming into the championship finale. And of course, the championship with 2 rounds to go, and the first of which is at Oran Park, a double header of 2 90-kilometre races, much like the ones at Townsville. And you can see that at the same time, in 2 weeks' time, on May the 18th, followed by our season finale at Mount Panorama, the Bathurst 500 kilometres, and it's going to be 2 drivers per car, which really does mix things up. and that's going to be on June the 1st at 5:30 GMT, which is, of course, 6:30 British time and something 30 everywhere else. So from myself, Mike, and Lewis McGlade on the cameras, thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this broadcast, and we'll be delighted to see you next time out at Oran Park. So for now, it's goodbye.